live American accent coaching for Brazilians who are already speaking English pretty well. So before today's live, I published a link to where people could submit audio to me, talking about whatever they want for about 30 seconds. Some people want a little over, a little under. Anyways, I got, I think, 14 audios from people. So today it's just going to be me going through those audios and giving some free accent feedback here about whatever jumps out to me the most in each audio. And we may not get through all of them. We may not get through all of it. I may not be able to go super deep in each audio, but I want to at least hopefully give everyone, or as close to everyone as I can, something useful from their audio. So without further ado, we can dive into that. Let me make sure I can see the YouTube chat. Okay, cool. So normally I'd take in more audios live, but today we got so many before the live that we're going to just analyze the ones I got so far. But if you want to send audios for future lives, pay attention, because usually a little bit before the YouTube live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in there each week, I'll post a link in my Instagram stories, and sometimes I'll post a link here live as well. But today we had so many, we're going to skip the live part, the live submissions part. So these are all pre-submitted. Okay. And let me know if one of these audios is yours, if you want to say hi. And if you have any questions, I'll try to watch the chat. And if you guys have any questions in general, whether you submitted an audio or not, I'll try to keep this interactive. And so feel free to put any questions, observations, questions in the chat below as we go. And we could be accent detectives together. Okay.
Technology has changed the way we communicate.
And just to confirm, let me know if you can hear the audio from Audacity, from the audio. And I'll check what you guys say here in a minute. Hopefully you can hear it. Let me know if you don't.
Technology has changed the way we communicate, work, and learn. With just a few clicks, we can connect with people all around the world.
Okay.
Technology has changed the way we communicate.
So yeah, really good overall. I think your thes are coming out with a D instead of a TH a little bit.
Technology has changed the way we communicate.
Yeah, you're kind of doing the way instead of the way. So think of it like lingua presa, like presa, the. So instead of da, more like the, where the sound never stops. It's a continuous sound.
Change the way we communicate. Change the way we communicate. Change the way we communicate.
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of a duh. Okay, I think it happened again.
Communicate, work, and learn. With just a few clicks, we can connect with people all around the world. Around the world. Around the world.
Oh, it was pretty decent actually.
With just a few clicks.
And great job on like clicks. A lot of people would say click, but you said click.
Click.
So really good vowel there.
We can connect with people all around the world.
And as shorthand, I might say good or something like that. But obviously this is all assuming that you listening, watching, submitting audio wants an American accent, so-called general American accent, or accent kind of like mine. So all accents are valid, all goals are valid, but that's what I'm helping people move towards. That's the assumption here.
Access information instantly. Access information instantly.
So I think you're trying to say access. So instead of access with the stress on the second syllable, put the stress on the first syllable, access.
All around the world. Access information instantly.
Yeah, access. Because if you say excess, it sounds like extra, like excess, excessive, excess. It's tricky. I have an Instagram reel on that. There's a bunch of related words that are kind of similar. Maybe I'll open that up on the side here. I can show you something interesting I'm working on. I don't think it'll show anything private if I show. Hopefully not. We'll try this. Worst case, come back and work through it. So I have a little database of all my Instagram reels that I've ever posted, and right now it's just private for me, but I may make it public. There's a smaller version of this. If you go to simpleamericanaccent.com/training or training.simpleamericanaccent.com, the same link is in the description of this video or in the highlights on my Instagram profile. But the point is, I have some free accent resources. This is stuff you can go to without being a client. I have some deeper stuff for clients. But so the thing I wanted to show you though was if you go down to more SAA resources and you go to search your pronunciation issue, you can also just go to simpleamericanaccent.com/find. Either way, you can search about 200 of some of the more popular reels. So if you want to know how to say world, you can see multiple reels where I've handled that and click and open it. So that way you don't have to wait for me to repost or do a thing on that topic. That's another way you can get some help if you have a specific issue. If you're struggling with 3 versus tree, I've covered that a bunch of times. If you're struggling with squirrel, is that in here? Yeah, I've done that a couple times. So a lot of those classic questions people have, I've answered, and you could go find that with this resource. So simpleamericanaccent.com/find, or here in the free version of the app. Okay, and if I search access, there is somewhere X's. Oh, maybe I need to clear that. We'll figure it out. I can show that later if important. But the point is, there's several words. Let me type some of them here just for reference. So axis, axes, x's, axes, access, excess. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, like subtle variations that we can get by changing the a versus and axis versus axes versus access, and so on, and then a s versus z at the end, axis versus axes with a z sound. Anyways, it's some stuff in English is unnecessarily complicated. But so anyways, that's what's going on here.
People all around the world access information.
It sounded almost like you said this one, but we want to do this one, access, so with an a and the stress on the first syllable, access.
Around the world, access information instantly and complete tasks more efficiently.
And then complete,
While
we kind of did kong instead of a complete.
Access information instantly and complete task more incomplete task.
Just a little bit.
Incomplete.
Yeah, not as obvious as some people do, but I'm guessing you'll do that in other words like company or confidence. You know, you might say company or confidence, potentially. That's how it slips for a lot of Brazilians, so careful of that.
Incomplete task more.
So yeah, complete instead of complete.
Incomplete task more efficiently. While technology offers many benefits, it is also important to take breaks.
Might have done important instead of im.
It is also important to take
Hey, I did important instead of im. So aim for tipo fechado do português, no i do português. So not im, but im. Important.
It is also important to take.
And then train it in context. So also whim. Almost like there's a hidden W between the O and the I. Also whim. Also whim. That way you can train it in context, in connected speech, not just in isolation.
It is also important to.
Also important.
It is also important to take breaks, spend time with family and friends, and maintain a healthy balance between our digital and personal lives.
Yeah, overall, great job. All right, let's keep it moving, because again, we got 14 audios, and I don't know if I'll get through them all. I guess they're slightly out of order right now, but we'll go through it. Let me pop back to OBS, see how we're doing, check in on the chat. Let's go. My audio might be there. It probably is. If you sent me audio, it's probably here, because I think if I didn't leave anyone out, I grabbed all the audio that I was sent. Good night, all. Good evening, everyone. Yep. What's the name of this sound? I'm not sure what you mean by what's the name of this sound. Congrats, your free work's very useful. Oh, that symbol you wrote, the kind of A combined with the E. There's different ways to talk about sounds, so I'll do just a real quick 30-second detour to point out a little bit of that. So you can think of that as this symbol, some people call it ash, or some people might call it a short A sound. I don't really like calling things short and long, because I think that's deceiving when it comes to vowel sounds, because it's not really about the duration, the length of the vowel. It's more about kind of the position in the mouth, or the frequencies involved in the vowel for what determines the difference between one vowel and another. But yeah, you get this ah. This symbol basically more or less refers to the ah sound in bad, like huing, and not the eh sound in bed, like cama. So it's this kind of ah sound that you don't have in Portuguese. Another way to label that kind of sound that you may not have seen is to use a code word like trap, which contains that vowel sound inside of it. And then we can look at some common words as well: cat, hat, bat, sad, etc. But linguists, one specific famous one, I believe it was John C. Wells, I think I have that here. You may not care about that, but yeah, John C. Wells came up with these code words. And these, basically are almost like a variable to represent different vowel sounds depending on the accent you're in. So my trap sound might be different from an Australian's trap sound or a British person's trap sound or different American accents around the US. But each person, if you have them say the word trap, it's going to be sort of this self-demonstrating thing where then we can hear how they said that word, and it's almost like a little audio file we can play and then copy paste that to all the other words that are part of that trap category. And then dress, we can similarly put a bunch of words in that category, the dress vowel category, and they're all going to have basically the same sound within an accent. So in my accent, it's like eh and ah, and I have videos on that if you want help with that. Let me come back to OBS. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so moving on to the second audio. Mixing in some theory as we go.
Technology has changed the way we communicate.
Oh, gotta solo it. Okay, here we go.
Hey, how are you? I just saw your
Great job so far.
story on Instagram.
There you kind of did starry, which depending on the accent you're aiming for, some people do kind of a staw, some people do more of a stool. I do more of a stool, kind of a closed O in words like story. So it kind of depends on like which part of the US you might be aiming for in theory, but if you want to sound like me, I'd do more of a closed O than an open O. So stool, story.
Story on Instagram, I guess. On Instagram. Insta.
I think you did a little bit of an ing instead of in. Instagram.
Insta.
So yeah, in instead of Instagram, Instagram.
Instagram, I guess.
Let me turn the volume up on that one a little.
Instagram, I guess. I guess it was a story, I'm not pretty sure. But I've been working for an American company and I lived in Louisiana.
Let's see. Let me go back a little.
I've been working for an I'm not pretty sure, but I've been working for an American company. Company.
Close enough. I was going to see if there's something I wanted to point out in company, because that one often slips, but close enough. But yeah, I'd aim for kind of a come, like the word come here, come, company.
Company
You kind of did, similar to story, you kind of did a more open O than I would do. So you kind of did starry and far, and I would do more of a for, or even fur, kind of like para becoming pra.
For about like can
So I do for.
For
personally.
about like can year, and I for about like can year.
Kinnear. I'm not sure what you said there. Let's hear that again in context.
I've been working for an American company for about like a year.
I think you're, a year. Or maybe you said A-N instead of just A. So like year. Trying to think if any natives would say that way. I don't think so. Anyways, yeah, I think you added an N in a way that I wouldn't. I think I would just say a year.
Year, and I lived in Louisiana.
There you did lived instead of lived, so switch the li to a li.
And I lived in Louisiana for 2 years as well.
Chew came out like a TCH.
2 years.
So chew versus two. T, 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 ch, 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 t, t, t. This one's tricky for a lot of people, but yeah, see if you can get just a tongue tip only kind of sound. And maybe that's oversimplifying, but that's how I would think of it, is if you get the middle of your tongue touching the roof of your mouth, you get this kind of sh sound, ch, and you get this kind of chiado, where it's sort of a TCH. Or som de X, the Portuguese one, chiado, ch, chew. So, but if you don't have the middle of your tongue touch the roof of your mouth, and it's a more precise, kind of just the tip of your tongue, touching the bump, the alveolar ridge, the bump in your gums behind your upper teeth, then you can get this kind of more precise t, 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 t sound without the sh sound with it. T, t. And then also, if on the way to the oo, if you add a little intermediate, passing kind of quick vowel along the way, that will help. So instead of going straight from the T to the oo, try to do kind of a t, two, maybe somewhere in there. and then you move that to to, and that might help you avoid accidentally doing the TCH sound if you have a different initial vowel, because that's actually how I do it. But yeah, if you skip to the kind of oo, you may accidentally do a kind of a TCH sound. So that would be another thing to play with. In the comments, TCH like cheka, chow is an affricate, exactly. Not everyone knows what that means, so I'm explaining that in, the middle of the tongue, chipunxiado, sh, and that's what we don't want if we're aiming for the to sound instead of a ch, chu. But yeah, definitely helpful to compare it to some Portuguese sounds for reference. Okay.
2 years as well, but 2 years as well.
And then in well, your L sound at the end came out a little bit like U or O, kind of like Brasil. Most Brazilians would say kind of a U at the end, Brasil, U. But if I'm saying it with an American accent, I'd say Brazil. And obviously you can say the name of your country, however you prefer. This is all preference, all optional. But if you want to do it the way I do it, then it's, instead of doing a bikini with the lips stay relaxed, and then the tongue pulls kind of back towards the throat. Not the tip of the tongue, but kind of the tongue stretches backward, retracts towards the throat, and you get this kind of ol sound. So, well, Brazil, might take some practice, but that's quickly explained. Basically the idea. Here in the comments, got another thing here. Let's see. The same goes for T-O, right? Both sound the same. T-W-O and T-O. Yeah. Let me do a 10-second explanation on that. These all have the same pronunciation. Two. Exactly the same. The difference is that these two usually have that pronunciation in a sentence. This one often doesn't. So kind of like how para often becomes pra when it's in the middle of a sentence in Portuguese. Even if you're not conscious of it, it often will. Similar thing happens with to for native speakers of English. It often, instead of a u sound, becomes kind of a kind of like the second a in casa. You get this kind of more reduced, relaxed sound. And so yeah, some people call that schwa. Up to you whether you care about that name or not. But basically it's a instead of a u in a lot of sentences. And so the T can also, and this is more than 10 seconds, but it'll be a quick explanation. And the T can also change. So you might notice it could be go to, can become go to the store. But then this T between two vowels can become kind of like the R in para, and it can become goda, almost like that. We don't write it that way, but it can become goda. So that's kind of the difference. If we're comparing these, is yes, these all three in the dictionary version of the pronunciation, or when they're emphasized or isolated, all have the same pronunciation, with the difference being that when they're actually in a sentence, these two keep that full pronunciation, but this one often gets simplified or reduced because it's kind of a less important little word, almost like glue connecting other words. Hopefully that makes sense.
But I feel that I need to improve.
Feel, same L thing as in well. So instead of feel, I would do feel, ol, u versus ol.
But I feel that I need to improve my accent.
And need chu, the same TCH.
I need to improve my accent. So I really would like to know how your work works. Thank you. Yeah, sure, not a problem.
Then I think I asked this person to talk about their work a little bit. So I won't go super deep into that, but I'll grab a snippet or two here and see if we get any kind of work-related vocab. And then we'll keep going. And I should probably speed up because, yeah, we're not going to get through all 14 at this rate, but I would like to give everyone some help if I possibly can. So not everyone will get super deep help, but I want to give everyone at least something. So let's see.
And then when I came back, I started to apply for another opportunities, and now I'm a travel consultant. So right now,
consultant versus consultant. So I do just a dark L there, not a U, but a ol. Consul becomes console, consultant.
I'm a travel consultant.
And same for travel. Instead of travel or travel, travel consultant. So the dark L happens in both of those words.
Consultant. So right now I've been dealing more with like the team, not with clients directly, just with companies basically.
Companies, there it slipped. So instead of companies, aim for come, like come here. Companies. And I'll leave it at that for this person. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, let's keep going. And let me know in the chat if this is helping you guys, because hopefully what usually happens is everyone's unique, but when I focus on Brazilians who already speak English pretty well and want American accent, even though everyone's unique, the patterns repeat across everyone. You know, some people have more issues with certain things than others or in different phases of their journey, but it's often kind of the same issues copy pasted across a bunch of different words. So hopefully you guys are hearing yourselves in some of these audios, even if you're not as far or farther in some areas. We can always practice the same fundamentals applied to our unique situation because it's the same stuff. Arroz com feijão bem feito. Same fundamentals applied over and over, better and better. Whoops, forgot to solo it. Everyone at once. Okay, here we go.
Hi, Will. Nice to...
So Will, dark L, like the previous person.
Hi, Will.
So instead of will, I would do will. Oh, 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 oh. You may not hear it yet, but there is a difference.
Hi, Will. Nice to meet you. My name is Fabio. I'm living in...
Good job in living. A lot of people do leave, but you did live, so good job.
I'm living in the United States.
You kind of did duh. Oh, in the comments, 2 and 2 sounds a lot more like pizza. Yeah, that's a great thing. Worst case, just switching from a TCH sound to a TS sound. That's kind of a good quick hack to move in an interesting direction there. So yeah, taking the sound from pizza and putting that into, it may not be exactly how I do it, but you could say that it's probably closer.
I'm living in the United States.
So you kind of did in de,
In the
de,
in the
in de, and I would do in the United.
in the United States. Right now, I'm located in South Dakota.
You did located with the stress on the K, and I would do located. So instead of located, I'm located, I would do I'm located, stress on the low.
In the United States. Right now, I'm located in South Dakota. I'm working here in South Dakota. Now I'm located in South Dakota. I'm working here, and I'll be working here until March 2027.
Same thing with the TCH in two. Ch versus two or two. So yeah, you could use the tip here from the chat, which I've sometimes tell people, sometimes we aim to kind of skip that and go directly to the t instead of the t. But yeah, the TS could help. So instead of ch, you could try t. So ch could become t or t.
2027.
2000. And here I think you might have over-reduced 2000. Maybe it could become t. But if we're speaking more clearly, which we don't always do in real life, but then it would have more of a full oo sound. So two
2020.
instead of t.
2027.
2000.
2027.
And the th in thousand kind of got stopped, came out a little like a t.
Ta-
Kind of a ta instead of a thou. So again, sort of lingua presa. Thopa, thing, thou, tho, tha, thou, thousand, 2000.
2027. And I want to improve my English, my accent. I can speak English pretty well.
Well versus well.
Pretty well. And I can understand almost everything that people say.
Everything, you did a F, I think. So instead of a everything with the tongue between the teeth, I think you brought your lower lip up to your teeth, to your upper teeth, which would be like an F in Portuguese, which is similar. It sounds similar, but it is noticeable for natives. It's a different sound.
Almost everything that people...
So yeah, everything versus I would do everything. Everything.
Almost everything that people say, but I wanna...
People, also the people versus people, the ol.
That people say.
I believe.
That people... But I wanna improve my accent. Improve.
Kind of did ing instead of im. Improve. Improve. All right, next one. We'll keep motoring, keep moving.
Hello, my name is Soeling.
And let me check here. We got another thing in the comments. I'd really like to hear, I'll try to keep this interactive as we go as much as I can. I really like to hear your feedback on our accent because there are many details we don't notice. I've never noticed the detail in company, I think. I'd probably say company or company or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I understand because that's what this live is about, is feedback on accent. I'm not sure if you're asking for something different. But that's what I'm trying to do, is give you guys feedback on not just a generic idea of a Brazilian accent, but a bunch of specific Brazilian accents. A bunch of you guys, real audios that you submitted. And yeah, hopefully that will be useful. Teacher, how often do you do like this stream with Zoom? Every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. So if you can't hang around the whole time today or whatever, drop in whenever you can for whatever length of time you can. As of now, I'm doing it every week at 4 p.m. Central. Been doing it that way for maybe a month or two.
Hello, my name is Suelen.
You kind of did he,
Hello,
and I would do he, low. So more like aberto instead of fechado. So he, hello. Actually, let me think about that. Hello. It depends on how I say it. So hello, huh. I might even do, instead of a he, I might even go to like a schwa, like a huh. Hello, hello, hello. So it could vary. It could be a he, it could be a huh, but it's not going to be a he, like you did.
hello, my name is Suelen. I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist.
And also, applying to everyone here, I usually say this, but I think I forgot. You all are doing great. Don't forget that. You're speaking English, which is amazing. So this is all optional. Some of you may get tired of me saying that, but I think it's important to mention here and there. This is all optional. Like, you're understandable. I'll try to point out when things aren't understandable, but generally, like, context will save you. Accent is like extra polishing, almost like plastic surgery or something. It's not some absolutely required thing. It can make things easier to be understood. It can make you be perceived more as part of the group or whatever. Like, there's a lot of benefits, but it is a very personal decision. So I am assuming everyone here wants feedback towards an American accent. If anyone kind of stumbled in here somehow, you're all doing great, and I'm just focusing on the gaps. But there's so many things that are being done well. And so I try to acknowledge those here and there, but I'm mostly focusing on the gaps. Okay, and in the chat again, no, I'm not asking for anything extra. I'm saying I really like what you're doing. Awesome. Amazing. I'm glad you like it. And then let's see, no, I mean MB, about MB. I'm not sure what that is. 2 weeks ago, people joined live and read a text. Oh yeah, I won't do that today. It's just kind of random based on, I just mix it up sometimes. So maybe we'll do that next week. We'll see. And yeah, I'm always open to feedback about format, what you guys think is most interesting. I think having people on live can be awesome. And then sometimes it can also become a less efficient use of time, depending on how we do it. So I'm trying to get better at doing that. And if you liked how it was 2 weeks ago, awesome. Always open to feedback, trying to make this better and more useful. And I'll keep experimenting with format. So yeah, I'll probably have more live people on maybe next week or the week after that. We'll see. Okay.
Hello, my name is Suelen. I'm a pharmacist. I'm a pharmacist.
Pharmacist.
I'm a pharmacist.
So I'm checking pharmacist because that's the name of your job, right? So it's important.
I'm a pharmacist.
First of all, it's understandable. So optional corrections.
Pharmacist.
Instead of ceased, cyst. So relaxing from E to E. So ao invés de E do português, E fechado do português. Você é cyst. Vocist. Pharmacist. More like that.
A pharmacist.
And then it almost sounds like you said firm instead of farm. So I think of firm, like firme, like in English firm, like a mattress is firm. That's almost what you said. Versus farm. I forget how to say farm in Portuguese, but anyways. Farm. Fazenda. I don't know if that's a farm exactly. But firm, farm. So farm, instead of just going straight to a sound, because that's kind of what firm is we just put an F right in front of the So fur. Farm, we kind of put a before that. So between the F and the So far. So that's what I would do in pharmacist, is I would add that little sound on the way, between the F and the R.
I'm a pharmacist.
So instead of pharmacist, pharmacist.
I'm a pharmacist. I'm working in a pharmaceutical company.
Hopefully that makes sense.
I'm working in a pharmaceutical company.
kind of did company.
company,
Com, and I would do come, like come here, company. You'll notice this is a common pattern. We'll hear this in a lot of audios probably.
company, and now I have to deal with
Good I and with. The TH became an F though. So instead of a with with a F, with your lower lip touching your upper teeth, aim for a TH with your tongue touching your upper teeth instead of your lower lip. And deal with, I think the L maybe became a bit of a deal instead of deal, the dark L, tongue retraction kind of thing.
deal with international companies, international.
Kind of inta instead of inter. Sounds like you dropped the R.
International.
Yeah, I would do inter or inner, international, inner, but there's still going to be that little in the middle. International.
International companies. I have
Companies again.
I have international projects to deal with, and
Deal with, same thing.
I'm not so confident.
You're doing great. I know confidence is often a key bottleneck, and that's again why for some of you it'll feel like I'm over repeating this, but some of you really need to hear it. Is like accent can help you with confidence, but also there are people who have way worse English, way worse accent, however you want to define these things, than you do, and are doing, you know, quote unquote better or more confident or whatever. So sometimes confidence is, you know, based on competence, but sometimes it also is just kind of this mind game of like, sometimes you're better than you think. So go for what you want with your current accent, and if you want to keep improving it, go for it, and maybe that can help you. But yeah, you're probably better than you think.
And I'm not so confident. I think I'm not ready to talk with another speakers. And
I think you're ready. You'll never feel totally ready, just like a mom is not ready to become a mom. There's no way to prepare in advance. You can't fully prepare to talk with someone else. You just got to go do it. You learn by doing it, and you do it badly a lot, and you get better, and it's okay.
And I'm not so confident. I think I'm not ready to talk with another speakers. And I think I need to improve my English and my accent. Sometimes the words come out and I don't know what I have to say. And I don't know if I'm ready to...
Yeah, so for you, and everyone's in a different spot, and I don't want to say, don't focus on accent, because accent can be a great source of confidence. Like, it can either take away your confidence or give you confidence, and sometimes working on it can help you feel better. Just like, changing a haircut or clothes or losing weight or putting on muscle or whatever. Like, these are things that there's multiple ways to look at it. It's like, love yourself the way you are and just go do what you want right now without changing anything. Just go do it scared. But also, yeah, if we can improve things in a way that you'd feel better about, then do it. So it's like, do both. And my advice to you is, I think, probably the bottleneck, o gargalo, se eu falar em português, o gargalo no seu caso, provavelmente não seja o sotaque em si, nem o inglês em si. Acho que você já tem um inglês que é funcional para muita coisa, até trabalhar em inglês. Não sei com certeza, porque sou um áudiozinho aqui, não conheço você profundamente, né, mas você não é a primeira pessoa que eu falo assim. Tem muitas pessoas com essa situação que acham que o inglês não é o suficiente. E eu diria, mete o louco e vai. Às vezes a pessoa realmente não tem inglês, não tem quase nada, sabe? Mas no seu caso, não é o caso. Você já fala inglês. Vai lá, pra onde for, e mete o louco e faz. E você vai aprender mais fazendo do que só na arquibancada, imaginando, treinando para um dia, talvez. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, all the accent tips I gave you, this specific person, like, they're still valid. You can work on them if you want. But don't make that a prerequisite, ideally. Just, you're already much better than you think. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let me check in on the chats, and then I can keep going. I'll skip the end of the audio since, I said 30 seconds, and some people sent longer. It's not that I don't care. I'm thankful for everything you guys sent. And maybe I can give some extra attention personally afterward, but I want to keep it moving to try to help everyone give everyone something. But okay, before we go to audio 6, I'll check in on the chat here and see how you guys are doing. Okay, Edison Henrique said, can you give tips on how to pronounce the word priority? Yes. So, priority, first of all, there's how you spell it. And then these are basically this. And then here is like a E. So it's like, no, sorry. This is not a, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. So this is actually more of an I. Here, we'll do it like this. I'm building this live, right? It'll be a little messy. We'll figure it out. So make it a big R to represent like R caipira, R de porta, tipo R americano, não R de para. Esse aqui é R de para. Ara, ara. Eri, para, para, eri. And this R, esse R, é tipo porta, por, Então é tipo, e esse aqui vai ser P, R de porta. Pry, aí tem meio que um Y escondido. Prior. E a ênfase vai nessa sílaba, prior, your, que basicamente, ou seja, contém essa palavra no meio do inglês. Your existe no meio de priority. So it could be like pry, que também é uma palavra, depois your, e eri não é uma palavra, mas é um final de palavra bem comum em inglês. Pry, your, eri. Ou, com esse português mais ou menos, pry, your, ênfase aqui, eri, ênfase aqui. Então a ênfase principal é nessa sílaba, mas tem uma ênfase secundária nessa sílaba. Ou seja, entre essas duas sílabas, o I tem mais ênfase do que o E. Não é eri, é eri. E entre essas duas sílabas, o your tem mais ênfase do que o pry. Então não é prior, é prior. E entre your e I, o your tem ainda mais ênfase do que o I. Priority. Does that make sense? Erickson said, I finally pronounced correctly. Awesome. I love that. I'm happy for you. Now, go keep practicing it. Don't just say it in isolation. Put it in practice sentences. Go to ChatGPT and say, give me 10 phrases using the word priority, and then go try to read them out loud. Because it's different when you put it in a phrase. And then you can also go to Youglish. Let's actually do that real quick. I want to get through these audios, but I want you guys to see not just the feedback, but how to actually train as well. So you can go to youglish.com, which is like YouTube English. So you can search YouTube more efficiently and type in priority and then click on US for US accents. Yeah, practice with Claude, ChatGPT, whatever you prefer. Or make your own sentences out loud. That's another great part. In the shower, in the car, just use the word priority a million times in different imaginary situations. It's not a priority right now. It's a priority for next quarter. It's not my priority for blah, 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 blah. Just, imagine, play make-believe. But yeah, go to Youglish and listen to a few.
Their first priority would be to...
That I needed to make that a priority.
Because we made it a priority in the federal government. Hiring hundreds...
No one's making a top priority out of Israel-Palestine.
That's a little quiet.
President Trump gave...
Anyway, you got the idea. Okay, so there we go. Priority. What else we got here? I want to keep this interactive while still making progress on the audios. Do you always, every single time, pronounce the TH in something, thanks, think, etc., no matter the speed of the talk, of the speech, of the talking? Because I see many people pronouncing like a T sound. That's a good question. So first of all, there can definitely be variation, and things are not always going to match the exact, kind of simplified explanation of things. So that's a great question. There may be more variation than people usually talk about when they're kind of teaching this in a simple way. With that said, I also think it's good to always question yourself, to have a hypothesis and realize that our brain will play tricks on us, especially when we're analyzing sounds, even in our native language, maybe especially in non-native language or accent, but even in our own language, in our own accent, we will often believe things that are not always true. So you believe that you're hearing a T sound, but I would use words internally in your own brain like, I think it's a T sound. That's how I'm perceiving it, rather than being certain of that. Because that's something I've learned with enough of this accent work, is like, it's very easy to be overconfident, and I'm always learning. There's things I'm discovering about my own accent where I believe something, but then I check the audio, I check the evidence, I analyze it more deeply, I learn a little bit more, and I realize I was wrong. I was just missing something. So keep an open mind, stay curious, and keep challenging your beliefs. So you currently have a belief that TH sometimes becomes T, and that may be accurate, but it also may not be quite matching reality. So just stay curious. But yeah, as far as something, I'm trying to think of an example that I could do something interesting with. One of the things in the I do not have a perfect answer. So that's another thing, is I'll try to admit when I don't have like a ready to go, highly confident answer. I don't really have one here. I would expect there probably is variation where the TH can become a flap or a stop or something, even in a so-called general American accent. Because for sure, like a lot of black people in the US will say a TH that is stopped and sounds kind of like a D, kind of like a lot of Brazilians do. So it's not just a thing about right or wrong. It's like, which accent or community are you using as a reference point? There's not a right or wrong answer. And the way I'm usually teaching is the so-called general American accent, which is more like how I talk. And so it just depends on what your goals are. But even, yeah, if we record me speaking, we'll probably find me saying the TH in different ways, in ways that are not what I expect in my simplified mental model. So that's a great question. I don't have a great answer for you right now, other than explaining how I think about these things so that you can continue to be your own, kind of accent detective. Because yeah, I'd be curious about it. And one way you could kind of research that informally would be, again, to go to Youglish. Which window did I have that in? Go to Youglish, search words like something or whatever has TH in it, listen to it, and then as you're listening, go slow it down and analyze what you think you're hearing. And sometimes your brain will still lie to you, but you'll have at least a better chance of getting closer to, understanding the reality with all its variations of how people actually speak. All right, continuing on. She said, confident in the audio. Do we touch the roof of the mouth here to pronounce the end? Confident, conf. Not necessarily. There can be variation. I would say aim for that as a mental model, as like the full version of the sounds. Confident. But then in reality, I think we may not always quite get there, and it may come out as kind of a con, kind of a nasalized vowel. Maybe some other part of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth, the middle or the back or something. I'd have to explore it more to be sure. I'm not sure what goes on. But those are some of the initial thoughts I have, is there's probably a little more flexibility there. So Português impressionante. Congratulations. Oh, wait. Oh, when I hover over words, it translates. That is so weird. Why does it do that? Can I turn that off? It's, I think, translating Portuguese to English in my YouTube chat. That's weird. I would love to turn that off. Why does it do that? I'm trying to see if there's a quick way to do that. I probably have to go into like YouTube settings after this. Yeah, okay, but if I hover over it, I can see the original. That works for now. We have a workaround. Seu português é impressionante. Parabéns. Obrigado. We have a saying here, se tá com medo, vai com medo mesmo. Practicing is the best way to learn. Exactly. Youglish is great and has a lot of other languages, so awesome. Exactly. I recently watched one of your reels where you teach how to pronounce "is that all" in an easier way. I was wondering if the same tip could be applied to "is the." Yeah, I would say in general, when you have, I don't know if it applies to all the situations, but instead of deleting that, we'll save it. But if you say "is the," "does the," etc., any of these words where you have kind of a Z, even if it's written differently, but ultimately it's a Z sound before a voiced TH like this, in the, or that, or something like that, I think we can often imagine the Z plus TH combo kind of just becoming a, almost just a Z. And you can kind of delete the TH. So yeah, is, does, is that all? You can basically delete the TH in a lot of those cases. You don't have to. You can say it for clarity, but there's flexibility to pretty much delete it if you want. But what I mean is my T, not like TS. Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of an open question on that one. I usually struggle with the TH when it comes right after an S sound. Any tips for that? Yeah. Let me make my video a little bigger. So if you look at, you see my coat in the corner. If you look at my tongue, when I do a TH, it's not always a big exaggerated thing. Like sometimes it's more subtle, like. So if you do a more subtle version where it's just barely poking out, now it's going to be easier to do a transition to an S, and you can practice that transition by itself. So TH to S or S to TH back and forth. Then you can start putting it in words. 6, because that's a STHS transition potentially. So I'm just kind of starting with my tongue in an S position and then moving it to just that really subtle TH position and then back to the S position. So the tongue just kind of goes, boop, just pokes its head out a little bit and then back in. Kind of like it's, I don't know, a shy turtle sticking its head out or something. Just a little bit. And so yeah, I'd play with that, kind of learn the mechanics of it in a more subtle way, and then start putting it into a bunch of words and situations where that shows up. And hopefully that helps. And sometimes you can kind of delete the TH in like the word months. We have a TH plus S, but we often just kind of do a TS sound, months. And so that's an example, by the way, of the TH becoming a T from earlier. That is one specific word where I know that can happen. So yeah, there's variation. All right, I'm caught up on the chat. Let me go back to the audios. Let me get a drink of water because I'm starting to lose my voice a little. I'm talking a lot. That's good though, that I'm talking a lot. Getting excited. Hopefully it's helping. Okay, so we're on audio 6 now.
Hey, what's up? I'm Ito, but you can call me Tito. There's no problem. My friend, that's how my friend call me actually. That's how my friend call me actually.
That's how my friend call me. I'd either say friend calls me or friends call me, and I'm guessing you're saying friends call me is the intention. But yeah, for it to be grammatically correct, and it could be a grammar or a pronunciation thing, hard to say which happened, but you're missing a Z sound at the end of one of those words, not both of one of them to make it work. My friends call me is probably what you wanted.
That's how my friend call me actually. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my.
Excuse me, a little burp.
Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my experience. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my experience. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my.
Kind of did a little bit instead of a little bit, so I think you're missing the L after the flap T, after the T in little.
A little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
A little bit, a litta versus a little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
A little bit, a little bit.
I think you did B as well, and bit.
Bit.
Kind of bia, and I think I do bit about.
A little bit about my
because it's connecting into about.
A little bit about my.
A little be about versus a little bit about, a little bit about.
A little bit about my experience.
Yeah, technically maybe you deleted the T at the end of bit, and I would turn it into a flap T most likely, a little bit about. It could be a glottal T, like bit about, where it has a sudden stop, or it could be like a flap T, like the R in para, bit about, a little bit about. That's what I would probably do most often.
Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my
A little bit. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about.
A little bit about my experience in Canada. My experience in Canada. My experience in Canada.
Sounds like you deleted the R in experience, and you said experience or something. Let me hear exactly what you did.
My experience in Canada. Experience in Canada. Experience in. Experience.
Yeah, I kind of did peents, expense.
My experience in Canada. My experience in Canada.
Experience, maybe? Experience? Whereas I would do experience.
My experience in Canada. My experience in Canada. My experience in Canada.
Yeah. I was questioning my own feedback to see if I could maybe hear the R, if I kind of listen to it differently. But yeah, I think we could say you pretty much deleted the R there.
My experience in Canada.
You did a kind of a D instead of a smooth continuous th sound. The lingua preva, that,
that
that.
I had on a few months ago. So I recently returned from an exchange program in Canada. So yeah, I'm an exchange. I am an exchange. I was an exchange student in Canada.
Might have done
in Canada.
Here. It's hard to tell for sure though.
In Canada. And that experience actually.
Experience. I think you did experience. I would usually do experience. I think experience. I'm not sure if that's just a weird thing for me personally, but yeah, I think I would, instead of X, I would do X and experience. We could check Youglish, check how other people say it, but that's what I usually do, I believe.
And that experience actually gave me so much.
Give me, so grammar / pronunciation. Gave me, if you're speaking in past tense.
And that experience actually gave me so.
So yeah, instead of give me, gave me.
Give me so much connection with other people, I'd say, because I used to be really shy, like definitely shy and introspective.
Yeah, great. This is a common theme, kind of people talking about confidence or shyness. So again, for any of you that relate to that, the most important thing is to keep going. If some of you, that's not the issue and you just want the technical help with accent, and then we can focus on that. Each person, each client or non-client, anyone I'm trying to help, it's always like, okay, what's your bottleneck? What is holding you back? For some people, maybe the most important thing is not accent. Maybe it's the confidence piece. And so accent can still be a nice to have, a valuable thing, but maybe the most important thing is to go do the stuff you want to do, even if you're scared. And it sounds like you're, a lot of you are already on this journey and living that, and awesome. Congrats on that. But yeah, just a reminder, think about for yourself, you listening to this right now, like, what do you think is your bottleneck? Is it accent? Is it confidence? Is it overall communication skills, like structuring your idea, the language aspects of how to choose words in the right sequence, which words, vocab, grammar? There's not always a perfect answer. Sometimes you need to work on all of it. There's always room to improve, even in our native language, to become a better communicator. But sometimes that's a useful way to think through it, because sometimes it's pretty obvious. It's like, oh yeah, this person is actually pretty good at the language. They're just like really shy or low confidence. So yeah, something to keep in mind.
Definitely shy and introspective. So when I got there,
got dare. So again, the th kind of became a d, dare. So it sounds like the word dare the way you said it, like I dare you, double dog dare you. But I would say there with a voice th. There, lingua prevere, lingua preva, there. All right, that's good enough on that one. All right, halfway through almost. 7 out of 14 audios. Or wait, no, 3 slipped. Anyways, yeah, there's a chance we'll roll some of this into next week, but let me keep going. I'm starting to lose my voice a little, so we'll have to wrap up the live before too long, but I'll keep going and we'll see where we get. In the comments, do pronounce I'd like I would very clearly in natural daily fast-paced talking, because I date her versus I date her. This is a huge difference. I date her. Yeah, but context helps there. Like, I probably wouldn't say I date her. I'd say like I'm dating her. If it was like I am actually doing this thing, factually currently doing this thing, I'm dating her, instead of I date her. So that already disambiguates, already tells you which one is which. Oftentimes is, I think native speakers would word things differently there, most likely. Because yeah, it could be a little bit tricky to hear that difference. I do think there is potentially an audible difference. With maybe like how long that stop, the initial part of the D sounds like, it might kind of last longer. That I date her as opposed to I date her. See if you can hear a difference. I date her. I'm kind of exaggerating it, but you might hear something like that. But again, that difference might pretty much disappear in some cases. So a little tricky. I won't get into talking about specific people and connecting English to intelligence and stuff like that generally, but I'm trying to think if there's a productive comment for me to make. Everyone's got different opinions on that stuff, so I'm just going to keep going on that. If I think it's something productive to say, cool, but all right, let's keep going.
Hi. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my vacation in the coming next week. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my vacation in the coming next week. I'm gonna visit Lisbon, Milan, and Rome. I'm also planning to go to Morocco.
So TCH. I was trying to see what jumps out at me the most.
I'm also planning to go to Morocco.
So maybe that's one of the main things so far is go to, as opposed to go to or to go to. Let me see what the words were exactly.
I'm also planning to go to Morocco.
I'm also planning to go to, or planning to go to, as opposed to planning to go to. So yeah, that TCH sound in chu is often a pretty strong tell for Brazilian accent.
To go to Morocco because I really want to visit the souks there.
I probably just don't know that word, but I don't understand what you're saying.
The souks.
The
souks there.
Yeah, I probably just am not familiar with it, but I at least do not understand what that is.
Because I really want to visit the souks there. Anyway, I'm pretty much excited about it, and I want to also have time to go to the beach.
So that would be the same thing. Is like anytime you're going to say to go to, that's going to be a key pattern. That if you say to go to, that's like, I don't know, waving a little Brazilian flag around, sort of. I'm kind of exaggerating, but and not that that is a bad thing, but if you're trying to sound like an American, then that would be an interesting pattern to play with.
Also have time to go to the beach and then explore like a little bit of Italian food. And then explore like a little bit of Italian food. And then explore like a little bit of
kind of did beat
a bit of
instead of bit, a little bit of. Overall pretty good. I could be nitpicky about some things, but like the biggest thing is the TCH that jumped out at me in this one. And I'm gonna, I think, keep it moving just to keep things focused. And anyone who sent me audios, by the way, if you have questions or wanted another little bit, a little bit more advice on something, just let me know via WhatsApp. Since we're already talking on WhatsApp, you already sent an audio, so feel free to let me know there if you wanted a little bit more tips on something or next steps or something. But I'm going to keep it moving here.
Hi Will, I'm sending this audio for you to evaluate my English. I'm 21 years old. I've never been to
old, so dark L, old versus old, old.
I'm 21 years old.
Otherwise, the distinction between old versus ode disappears. So it sounded almost like you said 21 years old, ode, kind of. And, context helps. Not the end of the world. Depends on the accent, all that good stuff. But yeah, if you're trying to sound like me, there's a distinction here. Yeah, aim for the dark L. Old. Tongue pulling back toward the throat with neutral lips. Old.
English. I'm 21 years old.
Give or take.
Years old. I've never been to an English-speaking country.
And great job for, being 21, never being to an English-speaking country. You're doing awesome.
I've never been to an English-speaking country.
Country. Let me see.
Country.
Country. Something. And I do cun. Just like come, but switching the M to an N. So like come here becomes cun. Like cunning or construction or I don't know. There's lots of words like that. Country.
English-speaking country. But I work with English. I started recently working with English, but I've been studying English getting in contact with the culture, listening to music and things like this for a while. And now I started
Y-O, dark L, Y-O-O-O-O versus Y-O-O-O-O, Y-O.
for a while, and now I started to work with English, so I'm trying to get better. My pronunciation and how I speak. Pronounce
versus pronounce. So similar to country, we want this un sound. Country. Pronunciation.
My pronunciation and how I speak to sound more natural. Since I talk to native speakers at work.
Native?
I talk to native.
You almost did native. Kind of went halfway between A and I. Nay.
I talk to native speakers.
But we want to do nay.
I talk to native speakers.
Native.
I talk to native speakers at work, and I would like to know how can I get better.
But yeah, you're doing great. So there's a couple quick tips. Obviously, you can't solve solve all the world's problems in one quick thing, but hopefully each person is getting at least some sort of interesting tip for their specific audio here, for your specific audio, and hopefully everyone can kind of learn from everyone else's stuff as well. Because again, there's a lot of patterns in common.
Hi Will, how are you doing? This is Matt, and I run a marketing agency, and we help. Hi Will, how are you doing? This is Matt, and I run. It's Matt, and I run a marketing agency, and we help. I run a marketing agency, and we help residential contractors in North America, United States, and residential contractors in North America. You
did in North America as opposed to in
North America.
In North America.
In North America.
Let me check contractors.
Residential contractors in North.
That's pretty good.
In North America, United States, and Canada. In North America, United States, and Canada. We help them get more clients, right? And lots of the time, I have to record ads for my clients. Ads.
I would do ads. It depends on the the regional accent, which accent you're aiming for.
Ad.
But instead of I would do just ah. So what you're doing is almost like what I do in a word like man, plan, ran, etc. Sorry, I got distracted by it here in the YouTube chat. Thanks a lot, Will. You know very well how to give feedback, just like that one feedback you gave to a guy commenting, F your accent on your post, LOL. Yeah, I was proud of that feedback as well. I think I just said, well, that was a bit intense to like a fairly aggressive comment. Because, yeah, I really try not to take it personally, and I try to have empathy for everyone's got their own stuff going on. Like, if we got to know each other better, we'd probably both understand each other better. Like, I'm genuinely trying to help. I'm not trying to just like piss people off or say things are bad and yeah, I think people are busy and they don't have time, and they just see the first few seconds of a post I make and assume that I'm doing something I'm not, and they get mad and defensive, and I can understand that. But yeah, I don't know. It still sucks. But yeah, I try not to take it too personally and keep things fairly chill. All right, let me get back into the flow here. I appreciated that.
I have to record ads for my.
So yeah, instead of ads, like I would do in man. So that sound is amazing for if you're doing a sound before an N or M. So before M or N becomes that sound. So like I am, man, plan, ran, ham, Sam, etc. But in ads, I do just a not a ads, but ads. But again, it depends on your target accent specifically, if you have like a regional accent you're aiming for.
And lots of the time, I have to record ads for my clients, and I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice, and that's when the accent gets ads for my clients, and I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice, and I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice.
Struggling to put my finger on it, but I think there's a way we could adjust. This is like some higher level accent stuff.
And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice.
I think there's a way, if we take this phrase as an example, there's some sort of way we could kind of soften or not sure the right words, because, you know, I'm still always learning how to do this better too, right? To make this sound more natural. And I'm trying to think, is it the rhythm? Is it the kind of the intensity, like the amount of detail in each vowel and consonant?
And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice. And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice.
There's a chance it could even be like, what if you moved your mouth less? That's kind of like the dumb version of like simplified advice here. Like, I'm not saying that's a thing you should always do, but like as a thought experiment, as a thing to test out, what if you tried saying this with like,
and I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my
and I actually do like lots of voiceovers. Like, I think there's a way, it to me it sounds kind of like you're doing like a more kind of forceful, like big version of the vowels and consonants. This is my hypothesis, because again, I'm not certain.
And I actually do like lots of voiceovers.
Do like lots of voiceovers.
And
I
I
suppose like do lots of voiceovers. Do lots of voiceovers.
And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice. And
maybe it's a rhythm
and
thing.
I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice. And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice.
You kind of did do like lots of voiceovers with my voice, kind of like an even syllable division, like each syllable almost had the same amount. And I'd probably end up doing something more varied.
And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice.
I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice. Maybe that was just a little more even naturally. Do like lots of voiceovers with my voice. But maybe like with my voice, lots of voiceovers with my voice. Also, that's redundant, you know, if we're being picky, but you know, it's normal to say things that aren't the most, you know, perfect way to say things when we're speaking live. Although you could be clarifying, voiceovers could be done with AI as opposed to actually using your voice. So it could be not redundant. It could be useful specificity.
And I actually do like lots of voiceovers with my voice. And that's when the accent.
Or, you know, your voice versus someone else, a different voice actor. Anyway, so I don't know for sure, but I'm just thinking, like, if we drilled this phrase, we could probably get it sounding a little smoother, natural. And it might have to do with kind of the intensity of each individual vowel and consonant, and it might have to do with the rhythm. And I'd have to experiment a bit to figure out what it is.
And that's when the accent gets really, really thick. And normal.
But overall, by the way, you're doing great. That's why I'm going a little bit deeper on some of my feedback, like a different layer, different level of feedback with you, is because like overall, I think you're doing a lot of like thick. Really, really thick. You got the TH, you got the E, you didn't do teak or something. You got the TH and you got the E, not E. So you're doing tons of stuff right. Or like, you know, you got the basics like all pretty much there.
Really, really thick. And normal conversations. And normal conversations.
I think you said and in normal conversations, but the in kind of came out like a ing again. So I think that's twice. So that might be an interesting thing, is check your in sounds. They probably float to ing sometimes.
And normal conversations, it's usually not a problem, but in the ads, it gets really thick. So it gets really.
And there you did, instead of it, I think it was eat. Yeah, I would do it. It gets.
It gets really thick.
It gets
really thick. So get.
Yeah, that one can vary.
It gets really thick. So maybe I need some help.
And I know you sent me the actual ad, so I'll review a little bit of that now live.
Hey Scottsdale, if you're thinking about remodeling your bathroom this season. Hey Scottsdale, if you're.
Good job on Scottsdale. The first part's, yeah, pretty good.
Dale, if you're thinking.
And then if floated to if instead of if. So I do if.
If you're thinking about remodeling your bathroom this season.
And bathroom, same advice from ad earlier. So let's see, Scottsdale is Arizona, right? So I'm trying to think of the accent you'd hear down there, or accents. I don't think you would hear the in bathroom or ads. I think that's more of a northern state thing, like I don't know, maybe like Minnesota and whatnot. Wisconsin, maybe. I'm not sure exactly where. I'm not an expert on all the, you know, that kind of variation. But depending on your goals, yeah, that might be worth adjusting, depending on your target market or how you want to be perceived.
Dale, if you're thinking about remodeling your bathroom this.
So maybe instead of bath, learn to say bathroom.
Your bathroom this season.
Your bathroom.
Your bathroom.
Bathroom. Your bathroom.
Your bathroom this season. Here's something worth paying attention to. Season, here's something worth paying attention to. Season, paying attention to. The tile, paying attention to. Here's something worth paying attention to. The tile matters, the shower matters, the design matters, but honestly, the contractor matters even more because we've all heard the story.
Overall, though, great, and you don't have to be perfect to do well.
Even more because we've all heard the stories. Even more because we've all heard the stories. Contractors showing up late, projects. Even more because we've all heard the stories. Contractors showing up late, projects dragging on forever, and calls not getting returned. People disappearing,
I think maybe I can hear
late, projects dragging on forever, and calls not getting returned.
I think I'm getting the kind of similar sensation to that phrase I highlighted earlier of like, again, I'm not quite sure what it is, but maybe it's like kind of almost like over enunciating, like kind of a exaggerated version of some of the vowels and consonants, or like extra detail in them, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it might just be like, you know, if a metaphor I sometimes give clients is like, imagine you have a sheet of paper with, you know, text printed out, and you start highlighting things, you know, yellow, you know, putting it in, highlighting some important words or phrases, and you're like, man, this is good stuff. Oh, that's good too, and that. And then before you know it, you highlighted literally everything on the page. And if you highlight everything, then the highlighter has no value anymore, because what gives the highlighter value is the contrast, that some things are highlighted and some things aren't. Some things are not highlighted. And so I think that speaking is a little bit similar as far as how much detail or clarity or whatever you want to call it did we put into each vowel and consonant, into each syllable. Typically, you're going to have some words or syllables that are more important in the sentence than others, and they'll probably have more of that. They'll have a kind of the full value of the vowel or consonant or stress or whatever. And then there's going to be these other words that are less important, and they're often going to be said a little more quickly. They're going to be reduced. You know, the vowels and consonants might be adjusted, you know, deleted or softened or kind of modified in different ways. Just like earlier, I talked about how to can become t, or even the t can change and go from a t to a, like the r and para, and go to becoming goda. And there's lots of examples like that from all these little words can, you know, really frequently become this kind of smaller, de-emphasized version. And so I'm wondering if maybe that's part of what's going on.
Late, projects dragging on forever, and calls not getting
forever. And maybe it's adjusting some of the specific, like maybe the R sound, maybe there's like a slight repositioning that could be done, forever versus forever. I don't know. I'd have to think about it more, but these are some thoughts. We can keep being accent detectives together and see where we get.
People disappearing halfway through the job. I'm Matthew with Desert Lux Remodeling.
Matthew versus Matthew. So yeah, the A sound consistently has that thing jumping out at me.
I'm Matthew with Desert Lux Remodeling. And the one with Desert Lux Remodeling.
Just make sure I heard the brand name is at Desert Lux Remodeling.
Desert Lux Remodeling.
And because it wasn't super clear to me. I know in the ad though it's written though, so not as important, but just based on the audio.
Desert Lux Remodeling. And
you said it kind of quickly, and so I might want to, that might be a place where you do want to highlight it. And if it's Desert Lux Remodeling, you might be like Desert Lux Remodeling. Like, I don't know, emphasize it to make it a little more clear.
Desert Lux Remodeling. And the one thing we're committed to, and the one thing we're committed to is making sure our clients never have to deal with that. We communicate, we show up, we keep projects moving, and we keep homeowners informed, and we keep projects moving, and we keep
Moo versus moo.
It's moving.
Moving. I would do moving. So there's a little bit of a difference in the ooh. We can analyze that deeper if needed, but you might be able to just parrot that, just immediately adjust it based on that being pointed out.
We keep projects moving, and we keep homeowners informed every step of the way, because getting your bathroom remodeled should be exciting and not stressful. So if you are planning a remodel and you're like a contractor that's reliable from start to finish.
I like ads. That's a funny thing to say. I don't always like ads, but I enjoy helping people with marketing, their ads, that kind of thing.
From start to finish, just click down below, send us your information, and let's have a proper conversation about it.
Overall, I thought that was great. I'm not saying that you sounded exactly like an American, but I'm saying like you did a great job. and it's not that far off. And I pointed out some of the more salient things that jumped out. Then we could get into the weeds of like really minor adjustments. Because again, I think you're right in the ballpark. You're in the right neighborhood for everything. It's just like the fine tuning of potentially going through every vowel and consonant and like seeing is there a slight adjustment to make. And maybe there's a way through like posture, which I'm not so good at, or like some overall kind of like way of thinking of how to use all the sounds together, like kind of how you hold your mouth or something. That's always been kind of weird to me. But I think you could do it kind of bottom up by just going vowel by vowel, consonant by consonant, try to get a phrase to sound actually American, like in a really perfectionistic way. And then that'll apply and transfer to other phrases and it'll start connecting. That's how I usually think of it. But yeah, it's pretty detailed work. And I guess my point is it's, again, optional. I think you're doing great. Yeah. Anyways, hope that makes sense. All right.
I will.
Let me check in on the chat here a little. Controversy. Do you think there's a tier list of accents? Since talking like an Indian, for example, may lead to people making fun of you. Is there some accent of most respected people? Yes and no. It's going to be controversial depending on who you ask. So it depends on the speaker, the listener. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. There's not necessarily one universal answer to that. But I think just the idea of prestige is an interesting word to throw around in that space. So sociolinguistics, prestige, is the level of regard normally accorded a specific language or dialect within a speech community relative to other languages or dialects. Anyways, there are going to be people who could speak about this much more intelligently and accurately than I am currently able to, but I wanted to at least bring this up to give you some interesting places to explore as a starting point. Because yeah, it is a real thing. It's messy and hard to talk about. It's part of our imperfect reality as humans where we judge each other, and there's, based on skin color, accent, clothing, smell, tons of things, we make very quick judgments that are sometimes helpful and sometimes kind of suck. But yeah, that's the thing. So I kind of leave it up to each person to make those judgment calls for themselves, because I really believe that accents are awesome in general, and it's up to you how you want to sound, to whatever extent you're able to control it and the amount of dedication that you have to make adjustments potentially. From all accents, the English accent from Douglas Murray sounds the best. I don't know who that is. Maybe I should, but I don't. Cool. All right, gonna keep going.
Hi, Will. What's up? My name's Thomas, and my name's Thomas. Thomas.
So it's your name. You can say your name however you want. That's point one. If, though, you want to say Thomas the way that I say Thomas in my American accent, I would blow out more air with the T sound. So instead of to, I do ta. And also instead of a o, or whatever your exact sound was,
Thomas.
I do more of a ta, slightly different vowel sound. But I think maybe the biggest thing there is the amount of air coming out with the T. You're doing it like it would tend to be in Portuguese, kind of a ta, ta. And I would do ta, ta. So the classic thing would be to hold up a sheet of paper. If I hold up a sheet of paper. Oh, I forgot to show my... Go back to Audacity. Anyways, I'll show Audacity in a minute when I go back to analyzing audio. But if I go ta, like saying está, but ta in Portuguese. Ta, ta, the paper barely moves at all. Ta, ta. Da. But if I say ta, ta, as in Thomas, I can put it closer to my mouth. Da, da, ta, ta, da, da, ta, ta. There's a lot more air that comes out in the sort of American version of that T than the Brazilian version of that T. So yeah, in Thomas, it's optional, but that's a thing you could modify if you want to.
And I'm a big fan of rock music, especially metal. I know there are many subgenres like nu metal.
Good job on genre.
For example, I love Korn, Limp Bizkit, System, Corn, Limp Bizkit.
I think you said Limp Bizkit, and I would say, I mean, I'm not like a super fan of them, so I could be saying it differently than fans do, but I think it's Limp Bizkit. And the stress goes on the bis, or biz, or however it's pronounced, on that syllable.
Corn, Limp Bizkit.
Whereas you kind of did limb as the main thing.
Corn, Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit. Almost. And then also I think it's limp with a P, and I think...
Corn, Limp Bizkit.
I think you're just deleting the P. So limp, even if I don't release the P with the audible P, limp, I'm still doing the first half of the P where my lips suddenly come together and the sound stops. Limp. So it's almost like I'm tricking my brain. It's like, don't worry, I'm going to say P. But I just never quite get to the P at the end. So I go limp, and I just am suddenly cutting the sound off. Limp. And then I release it as a B sound. Limp Bizkit. So there's still a stop there. I don't just go limb-bi. I go limp-bi. Limp Bizkit.
For example, I love Corn, Limp Bizkit, System, but I also do like the more classic, old school.
School versus school. See if you can add kind of a W and then a dark L after that. So go school, just like you did, but then go wool at the end. School, wool, school. That'll help you move towards that version.
Old school.
School. Old school. Great job on old, by the way. But yeah, see if you can change school to school. Old school.
Heavy metal.
Ha. You kind of did ha instead of he. Heavy metal.
Heavy metal. Heavy metal.
So just copy paste the you do in metal and put that in heavy. Because right now you're doing a different vowel in he and me, the first syllable of heavy and metal. But just use the vowel you did in metal and put that in heavy. So yeah, he, me, same thing. Heavy metal.
Heavy metal. I would say like Metallica, perhaps Black Sabbath.
Instead of sa.
Black Sabbath.
I believe, again, maybe super fans say it differently than I think, but I would say sa. Not sa, but sa. Sabbath.
Perhaps Black Sabbath.
And I think you're missing the TH at the end. I didn't hear it.
Sabbath. Iron Maiden. Who knows? That's it.
Yeah, it's tricky when you probably, if you're a fan of these, you probably hear their names in Portuguese maybe more than you do in English. You heard them first in Portuguese, or at a young age you heard them in Portuguese, and then it's like kind of rewiring your brain to learn the American version of those names. Again, optional, but if you want to say it like an American, then you kind of end up having a Brazilian version and an American version living in your brain, your ear, your mouth at the same time. Like there's an old Porta dos Fundos video about that, if you haven't seen it. Called Woody Allen. So this one, it's about that. 10 years old, oldie but goodie. Okay.
Hello, my name is Anna. Hello, my name.
So the hello at the beginning to me sounded, I don't know, British or Australian or something, not American. Before I get into that, let me talk in the chat here. But I think it was partly about the O versus O, something like that. Okay, so in the chat is like a T followed by a little cough. It's named aspirated consonant. You could think of it as a cough, I guess. But yeah, it is called an aspirated consonant. I don't think everyone always needs to know the name of it necessarily, just like you don't need to know the name of all your muscles to ride a bike. You can have an 8-year-old kid who just gets on a bike and does it. You can have someone who has a PhD who knows all the names and the history, the manufacturing, and the technical blah, blah, blah. And they can't actually ride a bike. So I think doing it is more important than knowing all the terms, but I think if you want to learn the terms, amazing. But I don't always use the technical terms here, even when I know them, for that reason, because I want this to be accessible. I want this to be approachable for people who aren't as deep into the technical stuff, because you don't have to be unless you want to be. But yeah, it is an aspirated consonant. That's aspiration, an extra puff of air coming out. You could even talk about voice onset time. So how long it takes for your voice to turn on. when you're doing that kind of consonant, like a T followed by a vowel sound. There's kind of a delay before the becomes a h, ha. So it starts out with just air coming out, unvoiced, and then the voice turns on at some point. And so that initial unvoiced part is kind of the aspiration. At least that's my current understanding of how this works. There's the consonant, and then there's an unvoiced period of kind of this puff of air, and then the voice turns on, and now we're into kind of the official vowel, I guess. But that's cool that you know those terms and like those terms. I think it's great and can be useful. But should we pronounce our names with an American accent? It would be as if my name were different. It's a genuine question. I believe that there is no universal right or wrong answer there. It is personal preference, and it's messy. There's not a great perfect solution there, because I think part of it is based on who is going to be listening to or saying your name. How familiar are they with the way you want your name to be? If it's already part of what they're familiar with, easy, amazing. The issue is when they're not familiar with it. Then if that lack of familiarity can be, I think, two main kinds of things in my current understanding of it. One could be it's just a different combination of the sounds they already know. That's a little bit easier. So it's like, okay, this guy's name, instead of Smith, it's Smithy. Okay, I'm just using my American sounds and combining them in a different way. Okay, cool. I know the sounds. I have the building blocks. I can just combine them. Cool. But as soon as it's like, now I need to, I'm an American, I'm a gringo, I don't know how to say a nasal sound, and the person's name is João, I'm going to be like, João, and the person will be like, no, João, and I'll be like, crap, I thought that's what I said, João, and it's like, as soon as it's a sound that the person is not used to, and they kind of, it's almost like a skill issue, they're not just not familiar with it, but like they're not just not familiar with the name, but they may be missing some of the key sounds they need from their inventory, from their skills. It doesn't mean that they can't learn it, or that they can't get close, or that they can't try, but it's just acknowledging there sometimes is like a kind of a technical barrier to someone saying a sequence of sounds in the way that someone hopes they will. So yeah, it can be a little bit of a messy problem. I think most humans care and try and want to do it the right way. Some can be, different than that, but I like to believe mostly in the goodness of people. So yeah, as far as whether you adjust your name or not, it's really up to you. Sometimes you can find a trick, like a little memory trick, a little connection to something the person already knows that they are familiar with, kind of build a bridge from what they know to your name or your last name. If it's like, I have some of these, I just don't remember all of them right now. Yeah, I don't have a perfect one, but if it was like, Guilherme, you're not going to get a perfect version of that out of an American's mouth usually. Like, especially if you're meeting many Americans and hoping they'll all just instantly get it. Like, there's a technical barrier there. But maybe you could say, Guy, call me Guy. And Matt might be easier. Or if you say it's kind of like Guillermo. Weirdly, I think more Americans are familiar with Guillermo from Spanish than Guilherme from Portuguese. And so that could at least move you in the right direction, get in the right neighborhood. But yeah, sometimes it's just a big jump for people. And I still think if you want to, you can still ask them to make that jump. It's up to you. But don't be surprised if it's hard for a lot of people, even when they have good intentions. So we can try to kind of educate them and develop an ability to kind of quickly teach them, have some sort of hack to get close. But I think it's good to kind of adjust our expectations and realize that sometimes it will be hard for other people to do. So there's my kind of rambling, imperfect answer. Okay. Oh, so many people. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we got a good turnout today. I like that question above. How do you pronounce, and here will be my attempt, Asriel. First of all, if I'm a generic American, I'd probably say Asriel. But if I'm reading it with my knowledge of Portuguese, I'd maybe guess like Asriel, maybe. And if it's something different than that, then I would adjust to however it actually is. But those would be my initial guesses based on an American context and a Brazilian context. If spelling is important, then applying or not a certain accent may help. Yeah. Joao. At this point, just say I'm John or William. Yeah, I've had clients who just pick a different name, but that is it's your name, right? It's a very personal choice. No one can make that decision for you. It's a messy thing. There's not a perfect solution. But it's a valid choice. You can do whatever you think is best for you. Yeah, I think my name would be difficult to pronounce. People would probably say something like Daniela. Yeah, it looks like Daniela or Danielle or something. So like, again, if it's close to something people are familiar with, then they're usually going to go with what they're familiar with. So that's part of the challenge. And if you want them to say it with the specific like accent, specific sounds that they're not used to, it's a bit of an uphill battle. There's going to be some friction. There's going to be some challenge, but it's not impossible. Again, it's just kind of an education type thing where you kind of coach them through it. But it will be a kind of recurring, every time you meet someone new who is not familiar with it, there will be that same kind of speed bump. And you can get better at reducing that for everyone involved, but it's just inherently kind of tricky.
Hello,
Okay.
my name is Anna. I am.
So yeah, hello.
Hello, my name is. Hello, my.
Le. I would do more of a hello, le.
Hello.
Instead of le or something like that, I do le. I might be imitating it improperly, but.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh. Oh. I do oh instead of oh. Oh.
Hello.
So it's a
Hello.
low.
Hello.
Low. I'm not gonna imitate it perfectly, but instead of low, I do low. Low. And again, we could break it down like beginning of the vowel sound, middle, end, go through it, really fine tune it perfectionistically. And then you end up with the target accent basically for that thing. And that's often what we need to do is break it down to whatever level you need to hear the differences and start building it, bottom up, piece by piece.
Hello, my name is.
Or sometimes, almost like a parrot, you can just hear it and copy it. If you can do that, amazing. You can skip it and take a shortcut. But if you run into challenges, then yeah, there are ways to break it down.
Hello, my.
Hello, hello, something like that versus hello. And I'm not perfect at imitating this, but that's my rough attempt.
Hello, my.
Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, I'm trying, and I'm trying to do this respectfully. Again, I'm not trying to make fun of you or anyone. This is just me actually trying to imitate it and not doing amazing. But anyways, let's keep going.
My name is Anna. I am obviously Brazilian.
Again, Anna, like the classic challenge of names.
I am obviously Brazilian, and I obviously Brazilian, and I've been recently accepted, and I've been recently been.
You almost did a little of a bean, and I would do bin, I've been.
And I've been recently accepted to an MFA program at NYU to study.
So again, a little bit of a non-American accent slipping in there.
An MFA program at NYU.
Like in the you. I would do you instead of you. So I think it's maybe mainly about the end.
You.
Kind of a fronted almost like in French. It's like moving towards that. I may not have done it perfectly, but I think that's maybe the difference is how front or back the oo sound is.
You to you.
You. Yeah.
NYU. To study screenwriting.
St versus sta. I would open that sound more.
Study
versus study. Study.
Study screenwriting.
Oh, I forgot the audio screen. Thank you. I keep forgetting that. There we go. Thanks.
An MFA program at NYU.
So yeah, you.
An MFA program.
You heard something and accepted? I can go back real quick.
And I've been recently accepted, 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 accept, accept,
Kind of did and I would do accepted, I think. Accepted, which is weird, right? Because it's a, but I say accepted.
accepted to
Otherwise, I'm not sure.
accept, accepted, accept, accept,
I'm not sure if anything else jumps out super big to me, but yeah, I would do a different initial vowel there.
an MFA program at
Also program versus gram, program. I say gram instead of grim, program. Usually, at least as far as I'm aware, that's what I say.
an MFA program at NYU
NYU.
to study
Study.
screenwriting.
I think you put the stress on writing, and I would put the stress on screenwriting instead of screenwriting.
To study screenwriting, and I've been very conscious about.
Another bean here, I think, instead of bin.
I've been very.
Or was it?
I've
here?
been
Yeah.
I've been very conscious about my English lately because I'm the only Latin American.
So again, up to you how you want to say everything, but I personally say la instead of la.
Latin American.
Latin, I do la, Latin. Oh, that's funny. I didn't realize I did that till right now, but I actually, for the T there, I do it like button, usually. I say Latin. That's funny. So it's a T in the throat, a glottal T. It's not wrong to say Latin, but I just tend to do Latin, like button, mountain, certain, kitten, etc. Latin.
Only Latin American student in my class. So I'd love some coaching and how to sound more, I guess, not fluent, but more natural while speaking English. While speaking English.
Also in English, I do I instead of E. You kind of did in English.
While speaking English.
English. Let me check in the comments here before I go to the next audio. Hopefully this is helping. My voice is tired. I'm going to wrap up the live pretty soon here. But yeah, let me know if you guys are liking this. I still got a few more audios to get through. 4 more. But yeah, let me check in the comments. Boa, people here generally say with a stronger R. I said John and William because it's the translation for João and Guilherme. Yeah, totally. Stronger R. Asriel. So maybe you mean like instead of Asriel, like the he becoming he or something like that. When you say here, I assume you don't just mean Brazil in general, but like a specific region. Because yeah, the R sound can vary. As far as I'm aware. The Y sound after hello sounds Australian. The Y sound? I kind of want to go back to that. I wonder what that means.
Hey Will, what's up?
Oh, that was this one.
Hello, my name is Anna. I am.
Oh, the my? That's what you mean by Y, I assume. The Y and my?
Hello, my name is.
Maybe.
My name is Anna. I am. Anna. Name is Anna.
Oh, I didn't even notice it till now, but this person did ease instead of is. My name me's versus my name is.
Hello, my name is Anna. Hello, my name is Anna.
I don't hear the Y sound as Australian, and if you're meaning in the word my.
My name. Hello, my name is Anna. Hello, my name is.
The O, I think, does sound Australian, I think, to me. I sometimes get Australian and British confused, honestly, depending on the moment. I kind of bug out. Or bug out. Do we say that in English? O cérebro buga. É isso que eu quis dizer. Sometimes I know a Portuguese thing and can't remember English all of a sudden. It's funny. Anyways, so. Alright, back to the chat. Sounds like LH to Brazilians. Interesting. Very Australian. Switch back to the audio screen. I did that. Accepted. We covered that. Question teacher. Y and yes and you is like a really weak post-alveolar fricative. ZH like in genre. Yes, yes, yes. I don't think so. In some accents, like the double L in some Spanish accents, I think it can become that, but I don't think that's what it is for me. I'd have to think about it more. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm also getting tired, and that is a more advanced question that I would have to think about more. But my simple response is I'm pretty sure the Y and yes and you is pretty significantly different from the sound at the beginning of genre for me. It's like the difference between Latin and Latino, no T versus T, Latin, yeah, that's about the change in the stress syllable. And then the la gets reduced to la, at least that's how I think of it. Or maybe it's based on the language of origin or something. This interrupted Latin mountain cotton I learned from Gavin from Small Advantages. Awesome. I wonder how he teaches it. I don't think I've seen his content on that. Muito bom, que bom, feliz que você gostou. Hello, hello. Maybe you're thinking of the hello as if it had a Y sound in it. Maybe it's just the way you kind of model it for yourself. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as almost a R. Hello, hello. I don't know. Everyone perceives things differently. Do you say either as either or either? Either way. Either way. Depends on the moment. But I do both. Okay. Man, my voice is tired. Getting tired. Let me go grab I think I have my balinha, throat lozenge, whatever you call that. I forget the name. Cough drop. I will be right back. Let's talk to my dog, in case you heard me talking. 1-year-old golden retriever. Okay, and thanks for hanging out here, folks. It's nice to have almost 2 hours deep into this live, and we still got a good handful of people here. Nice to, I'm grateful for your attention, and hopefully this is useful for you. Hopefully it's helpful. All right, let's keep going.
I will with.
Put my headphones back in. Okay. Getting close. Close to the end. Home stretch.
Hey Will, what's up, man? My name's Alan. I'm from Belo Horizonte, the state of Minas Gerais, here in Brazil, right? And I'm sending you this audio because audio.
Kind of did instead of ah in the first syllable of audio. So instead of audio, I do a more open sound. I go from to ah, audio, audio.
Audio because I'm an English teacher here. I teach at English courses here. I teach at English course. I teach at.
I think you did a little e after the word teach.
I teach at.
I teach, and I would just not do a vowel after the tch sound. I just do a ch at the end. Teach. So not chi, but just ch. Teach.
I teach at English courses.
Unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, which is possible.
I teach at English courses.
I teach at English courses.
I teach at English courses. And I really...
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. It might be part grammar, part pronunciation. I'm just slightly confused about what you're saying. I think you're saying that you teach English and you teach like in some specific programs, as you said, like at English courses, like, yeah, something like that.
I teach at English courses.
Yeah, there's probably a more common way to say that.
And I really want to speak better, because although...
Just pointing this out, man, those formats look cool. Like the visual here is pretty cool.
speak better, because although I already teach, although I,
So your th and though became kind of a
although I, although I,
almost a d, kind of a stop.
although I,
Though, as opposed to although,
although I already teach the language,
already.
already
I exaggerated that. Let's see.
already teach,
Maybe it's fine. Already.
although I already teach the language, I want to improve as much as I can.
I was just trying to see if the R became slightly like a W, or maybe you're doing kind of like the W lip shape while you're doing the R and already, maybe.
Although I already teach the,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
teach the language, I want to improve as much as, I want to improve,
Maybe a bit of a TCH there on the, yeah, I want to. Exactly. A bit of a TCH going on the two.
I want to improve as,
There's no rule to either. Is it arbitrary and freely interchangeable? I think in some cases, and I'm not sure about this, but what I believe is that there are a lot of cases where it's freely interchangeable, and is in, I think the technical term is maybe free variation, I think. And you'll just hear both kind of randomly. But then I think there are some situations where there's going to be a strong tendency. So like me neither. I think I would never say me neither. I think I would always say me neither. And I don't know if it's because it rhymes that I'm doing, the same, maybe not rhyme, but like me, knee, the same E sound in both, if that's why. Or, I don't know why, but I think that would be an example where it's restricted, constricted, whatever the right word is. It's that freedom doesn't extend to that situation for some reason. So I think there's probably a lot of cases where you could say either or either, neither or neither. It doesn't really matter, just kind of random. But then there's maybe some specific situations where it makes a difference, or like there's a strong tendency for native speakers of a specific community to do one and not the other. There's my imperfect response. I'd say work on E's mostly. I would do an N sound, want to improve. Cool.
Though I already teach the language, I want to improve as much as I can, learning new slangs, and
I think we should just say slang, like a uncountable noun kind of thing. Like we don't say information, so we just say information. I think the same thing for slang. I think we just say, I want to learn a bunch of new slang. I want to learn new slang.
Learning new slangs and practicing, for example, the schwa sound and these kind of...
And schwa sound, I think you kind of put the emphasis on sound, and I think I would by default put the emphasis on schwa more than sound.
Practicing, for example, the schwa sound.
Instead of the schwa sound, I'd probably say the schwa sound. Practicing the schwa sound. Unless I'm, for some reason, really emphasizing that I'm talking about the sound as opposed to the letter or the something else. Like, there's some informational value to that contrast. In the comments, Berna says he's doing really good, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree.
And these kind of things that only...
Things, I think this varies depending on accent, but I think I do a little more of a I in things instead of a things. I do more of a things.
And these kind of things that...
And also D's.
And these kind...
Kind of did a D again. D as opposed to V. D.
And these kind...
And these.
And these kind of things that...
Things.
And things that only people who were born in the United States can help me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good job. Alright, let's keep going. Oh, my wife is calling. Let me answer that. Oi, amor. Tudo bem, rapidinho, eu tô na live. Mas já tô saindo. Tá ouvindo? Tô na live ainda. Ah, it's okay. Precisa de algo? Ok. Te amo, beijo, tchau. All right. Where were we going on to this audio? Lucky number 13. The TH sound is really difficult. I think the fastest way I'm aware of to teaching it to Brazilians is Oi amor, sim. Adoro falar com minha esposa em português. É legal. What was I going to say? I think the fastest way I found so far for teaching Brazilians the TH sound is often just mentioning língua presa, and then either língua presa for the voiced TH, presa, or for the unvoiced TH, something like thopa, think, thou, for things like think, things, teeth, or whatever. There's other ways, but that's one way to start finding the TH sound.
Hi, Will. My name's Kahiki.
And there's also troubleshooting around like the tongue position. How much of your tongue are you sticking out versus just barely sticking out a tiny bit, just barely touching the upper teeth. And then the amount of pressure as well is one way to think of it. Like, are you pressing really hard upward and you're kind of stopping the airflow, or are you doing a very, very light pressure where you allow the air to keep coming out continuously? So sometimes people are just using too much pressure, and they need to do a lighter version of the sound, a lighter tongue pressure.
Hi, Will. My name's Kahiki. I'm 30 years old. Hi, Will. My name's Kahiki. I'm 30 years old. Hi, Will. My name's Kahiki. I'm 30 years. 30.
TH. Speaking of TH, it's tricky. And yeah, here in 30, it sounded kind of like ter instead of thur, kind of like a T. But we want a th. So instead of ter, thur.
30 years old. I'm currently living in Denmark.
Leave versus live. I do live.
Leave
versus live.
Currently living in Denmark. I have been living here.
Being versus been.
Been living here.
So yeah, been leaving versus been living. Been
living here for 1 year, more or less. And I already speak English more or less for 3 years.
Tree versus 3. So again, TH versus T. Yeah, just imitate Lula or Bolsonaro voice. Sossega, sounding really little bit like fofega. Yeah. Although being careful to not do the F. I know that's like the closest you have, but fofega, sossega. Because then you might end up doing an F sound instead of a TH. So it depends on how we do it. And I haven't analyzed Lula or Bolsonaro's voice enough to know exactly how they do their S and Z sounds. But I think, yeah, that can be useful to get people moving in the right direction. You just got to be careful to not accidentally do a F or V sound instead. So yeah, tongue, not lower lip.
And I already speak English more or less.
Ing versus ing, English. Where should I send the audio? For this week, audio submissions are closed because I got 14 audios by yesterday. So it's a lot. But I'll do this again, like I do every week. We had pico de seguidores novos e tal essa semana, então chegou um monte de pessoas mandando mensagem para essa live. Mas para a semana que vem talvez tenha diminuído um pouco, ou eu posso mudar de processo se for assim várias semanas seguidas. Vamos ver. But yeah, para as próximas lives, for the next lives, usually it's I'll post a link in the stories, or here on the live I will share it live during the YouTube. I'll just drop it in the chat if I don't have like as many audios as I do today. Then I take live submissions during the live too. Aí entra a questão de estado. Sou gaúcha e meu sotaque não consegue fazer algumas coisas. Muito engessado. Pois é. Depende muito de onde você é e qual o seu alvo, o sotaque alvo, o idioma alvo, etc. Então, sempre tem que levar isso em consideração. Por isso que foco em brasileiros e não pessoas de outros idiomas ou sotaques fora do Brasil, porque pode variar bastante. Já só dentro do Brasil tem muita variação. Mas sim. Mas a gente pode... Cada cada lugar de origem tem seus prós e contras. Tipo, você vai ter alguns sons que outras pessoas não têm, e você vai não ter alguns sons que outras pessoas têm, e vice-versa, sabe? Então, a gente pode aproveitar as coisas que você tem. Talvez, sendo gaúcha, talvez você fale um T mais perto do T de to. Talvez isso seja mais fácil para você. Não sei com certeza, é possível que eu esteja me confundindo. Mas acho que talvez essa parte do to, ao invés do chu, talvez seja mais fácil para você, sendo gaúcha. Talvez, não sei. Tipo, quais? Eu já esqueci. Será que vocês estão falando entre si no chat ou tá falando comigo? Tipo, quais? Aí eu não sei se tá falando comigo ou respondendo a galera dos comentários. Seu sotaque é um dos mais emblemáticos. Vocês não botam um I antes do S, vocês falam vez de nós três. Vez de nós três. Ao invés de vez de nós três, né? Muito diferente do resto do país. No Rio a galera fala vez de nós três. Ou vez de nós três. Como seria? Sei lá. Interesting. O chiado mais difícil. Berna Carioca. Interesting. I like this conversation. Yeah, eu amo a variedade de sotaques que tem no Brasil. É muito legal ver a variação dos sons. É bem interessante mesmo. Então fique aí conversando entre si. Eu gosto de ver. Tongue twister. Ok, vamos lá. Vou seguir aqui com os áudios, mas vocês podem ficar conversando quanto vocês quiserem. Eu gosto.
And I already speak English more or less for 3 years, so I'm able to communicate, but
communicate, I put the stress on the mune instead of the kate. You put the stress on the kate. Communicate, I would do communicate.
To communicate, but to communicate.
So yeah, I'm able to communicate. I'm able to communicate.
Communicate, but I have some struggling with some.
Instead of I have some struggling, I just say I struggle with. That would be the simpler version, the more native, like the more common version. Or maybe I have some struggles with, but that still is like the simplest way would just be I struggle with XYZ.
But I have some struggling with some pronunciations, also a little bit with.
But also, as I've said to some other people, the most important thing is you're speaking English. That's amazing. You don't have to be perfect. Keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep going. It does not have to be perfect. So, depending on where you're at, you can take my feedback differently. The most important thing is just keep going. You're doing awesome. But then, yeah, fine-tune these sounds if you want.
Some pronunciations, also some
I would do pronunciation.
Some pronunciations, also a little bit with.
Also, I do also, all, instead of ow, all, also.
So a little bit with grammar.
Little bit, I do little bit.
So a little bit with.
I didn't imitate that perfectly, but anyways, one of those is floated to E or multiple.
Little bit.
Yeah, I do little bit.
A little bit with grammar.
Instead of grammar, I do grammar, almost like fechado e depois grammar. Kind of like where'd my notepad go? This is an imperfect way of representing it, but it's almost like I'm doing a almost like that, kinda. Grammar.
Grammar, like the use of preposition.
Use of, so use as a verb is with a Z, use generally. And when it's like a noun, like what's the use of this? The use case, then it's an S, use. So similar to house and house. So I live in a house, a noun, but I could talk about housing, or someone who's housed, or unhoused, or whatever, stuff like that.
Like the use of
similar for close and close as well.
the use of prepositions and articles. I get some
Articles,
lost a little bit on it.
Beat again versus bit.
The use of
Oops. Anyways, good enough on that one. Getting towards the end here, guys. Again, great job. I'm not listening to the audios that are over 30 seconds. I will sometimes stop short.
As I said in the previous audio, as I said in the previous audio, as I said in the...
Oh, previous... Oh, okay, no, I remember. I think the first one had bad quality and then re-recorded, so that's fine.
As I said in the previous...
Almost became said, and I would do said. So not say, but say. Said.
As I said in the previous audio, I'm happy to help you with your case study.
Happy to help. Happy to. I would do happy to or happy to. So TCH versus T. T versus TCH.
I'm happy to help you with your case.
And then help versus help. Help. Hell. Hell. Yeah. Yeah, good thoughts there. Audio. Yep.
Happy to help you with your case study with the Brazilians speaking.
It's not exactly a case study, but I'm very happy that you have sent audio. And yeah, I'm always learning. Been doing this a while, but always great to hear more accents.
With your case study with the Brazilians.
So yeah, case study, I would do case study with an S, kind of like use case, use case.
With your case study with the Brazilians speaking English. So yeah, I do live overseas.
Leave versus live. Leave, live. I do live. I live.
Yeah, I do live.
I do live.
Overseas for...
I think you did over. You kind of deleted the R or turned it to a little bit of a W maybe. Ovo. I would do over.
Overseas for quite a while.
And then instead of Cias, if I'm understanding, if you're saying overseas, like no outro lado do mar, I don't know how you say that exactly in Portuguese, but like I would say overseas.
Overseas for quite a while, I believe something around...
While, I do while, Darkel.
Quite a while, I believe something around 90 years. I do live in Australia.
Years, a deleted R again, so that'll be a pattern that appears.
Something around 90 years.
I would do years instead of years.
I do live in Australia.
Live.
I do live in Australia. And as I can speak about any subject, just to give an idea. So yes, I love racing cars, and I do love...
Cars versus cars.
And I do love racing oversteer.
We say fora for overseas. Yeah, I guess so. Although I think maybe that doesn't tell you... Because overseas specifically literally means like on the other side of the ocean, I believe. So like not in the Americas, but instead like Europe or Asia, Africa, you know. I think if we say overseas, usually that's what it means. It's literally like the other side of the world, across the ocean. Whereas I think fora could be, you know, still in this hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere. Maybe that's not quite the right distinction, but like still on, you know, the same side of the ocean. That's what I'm trying to say.
Give an idea. So yes, I love racing cars, and I do love racing oversteer cars over the understeer cars, because they are...
Oh, I don't know that distinction. Are you saying oversteering and understeering as a distinction of types of cars, or like how they're set up for their steering? If I'm understanding you right, that's not a term I'm familiar with, but I think I understand, and that's interesting.
And I do love racing oversteer cars over the understeer cars.
Unless I'm misunderstanding, which I might be, because it's not totally clear to me. Partly it's the R being deleted in over, I believe.
Racing oversteer cars.
And I'm not sure if you're saying steering or steery or something else.
Racing oversteer cars over the understeer cars, because they are way faster and it's way cooler to drive them. Way faster.
Oversteering. Okay, good to know. So yeah, I would then, with
over
that knowledge,
the understeer cars,
I would say make sure you get the R in over and under, and then in steering,
the understeer cars.
Instead of steery,
we
want to hear ing. So not steery, but steering. Just like ring. like a ring, an L, ring, steering, 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 oversteering, understeering.
The understeering cars, because they are way faster and way faster.
Faster versus faster. I would do fa.
Way faster, and it's way cooler to drive them. So
to drive versus to or to. So T versus TCH.
Cooler to drive them.
Cooler to drive.
Cooler to drive them. So hope that's enough. Have a good one.
Yeah, that was great. Good job. Hopefully that's helpful. And it's great that you're here live. And yeah, Australia. Yeah, again, I'm assuming if you're here that I'm, helping you move towards a more American accent. It's the direction of the feedback, the assumed goal. But yeah, for sure, if you're living in Australia, that's, I don't know if you are genuinely aiming for an American accent despite living in Australia, but that's always, an interesting contrast because those are pretty different accent worlds. And that's a cool opportunity to become skilled at multiple accents and understand those distinctions and variations. That can be awesome to compare different accents, but yeah, it can also be confusing sometimes. It's easy to get stuff mixed up. It's hard to get it all perfectly aligned with a specific accent across all the words where a given sound needs to go. Your accent is helping me with my Australian one. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Even if the details are different for any given vowel or consonant, a lot of the process is the same. And some of the specific sounds will even be potentially the same or similar. But yeah, it's all connected. You can build a skill with accents in general and then apply that to whatever accent you want. Speak a lot like Jamaican because you learned a lot from reggae. Oh, that's cool. All right, we're on to the last audio, I believe.
Hi, Will. How's it going? I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I learned English real quick. Real quick.
Maybe real. You might have done a oo instead of a ol. Real, I think.
Real quick. Since I was a kid,
I think you kind of did kid and instead of kid. Kid,
I always...
Kid, since I was a kid.
I always used to play video games. Play video.
Yeah, you kind of did V instead of video. So I would do video instead of video.
Play video games a lot.
And also you might have compressed it to 2 syllables?
Video.
Which maybe natives do too, I'm not sure. Video, or something.
Video.
But yeah, instead of VU or something like that, like a heavy compression, I might be exaggerating it, I would do, the full version would be video, or video. And then there might be reductions from there, but I would make sure you can do the 3-syllable version to start in a clear way. Just
play video games.
Video games.
Play video game.
Play video games.
Play video games a lot in English, no translation or anything like that.
And also, great, I've heard lots of success stories from people who just obsessed over English kind of naturally by using it in voice chat and video games.
I feel like that helped me be more familiar.
Help versus help, so dark L. Hell.
Helped me be more familiar with the language. More familiar with the language. As I was growing up, I started watching shows and movies in English with...
I did movies, and I would do movies.
Movies in English with subtitles, and I feel like that helped as well. English with subtitles, and
You might have put the stress on tie and subtitles, and I think I would put the stress on subtitles.
Movies in English with subtitles, and I feel like that helped. Movies in English with subtitles, and I feel...
Yeah, I think I would do subtitles.
Movies in English with subtitles. And I feel like that helped as well. Then I took a 2-year English course. Then I met some friends online in 2019, and I've been talking to them almost every day since then. I feel like that really helped with my English.
That's awesome. Also on that note, let me show you guys something. This is kind of a draft. Great help. Gaming is great help. So I've got a little draft resource here for people who aren't quite ready for accent work or want to focus on conversation. Like video games is what made me think of this. So if you go to simpleamericanaccent.com/convo, C-O-N-V-O. Long live today, I'm glad. Yeah, me too. My voice is tired. I won't always do longs this live. Sometimes it'll be an hour or maybe even shorter. But it was nice. I enjoyed today. But yeah, so whether you're not quite ready for accent work or whether you're doing great with accent or ready for accent work or whatever, but you want more conversation practice, the video games comment made me think of mentioning this. I haven't shared this like really publicly. Maybe this is the first time. I just messaged it to a couple people one-on-one. This is a draft, it's not perfect. And it's probably like over linked. Some of these don't need to be links, but whatever. But basically, these are just some resources to consider if you want more conversation hours. Because that's not what I focus on, right? I assume if you become a client or I'm helping you even not as a client that you already speak English well and you have access to, Americans, you frequently speaking. That's an assumption I make. So whenever that's not the case or someone wants a little extra, these are some resources. I put this together because it's a common issue. These are some ways to try to get some more conversation hours. So you can pay for structured conversation on some paid platforms like these. I think there's probably others. There's some free apps, which is always hit or miss. Some people on the internet are weird. And when you do free, you have to sort through the weirdness and garimpa. Especially if you're a woman. I think it's a little bit easier as a man online. Anyways, your mileage may vary. There's some weird people on the internet, but it can be amazing if you find even someone who's, decent, or maybe you meet a great friend. You never know. And also supply and demand. For me, it's way easier because everyone wants to speak with a native speaker of English. As a native speaker of Portuguese, I think you can still meet a lot of people, but to meet native speakers of English on there, you can, but you might have better luck meeting non-native speakers of English more easily. And so it's like a supply-demand issue on some of these apps. But again, it's still possible. It's always possible. But other options, you can go where the native speakers are, and that's where the video game part comes up. So you can hop on Discord, which doesn't have to be about video games, but you can hop in voice chat for random topics, hobbies, whatever. Or you pop in, I'm not super up to date with all the games exactly. This is partly ChatGPT, helping me, and combined with some things I've actually heard from other people. But I'm curious. Oh, it's muted on Instagram. Are you sure? Maybe it is. Oh, interesting. Nah, that's fine though, honestly. Because the important thing is here, the YouTube live. So I don't know why it's muted on Instagram, but just is what it is. We're almost done anyway. Anyways, let me know in the chat here on YouTube, those of you who have played video games and that's helped you with English or whatever, if you want to drop names of video games that you found helpful, or if there's any that have voice chat, if you actually spoke with natives, that's something I'm interested in kind of compiling, understanding better over time. If you kind of have a success story of you actually improved your spoken English because of this specific video game, I would love to know. So if you guys have any recommendations, let me know, and maybe I can keep kind of compiling better lists for people who want to explore that stuff. ChatGPT in voice mode, there's some other meetups and consuming media. Anyways, you can go here and check this out if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, there's always the classic thing linked below this video. There's two main kind of key next steps. Any games you take seriously will help. Awesome. You play Valorant. It's helped you a lot with English. The Sims 2 in 2010. Nice. Amazing. I started learning foreign language because of The Sims, the original one, by the way. My uncle told me a lie. I wanted to know what language my Sims were speaking, and he was babysitting me, and he was falling asleep. He was tired, whatever. And I wasn't like a baby. I was, I don't know, 10. So it was fine that he was gonna take a little nap in the same room that I was in, whatever. But I was like, what language are they speaking? He kind of half woke up, was like, I don't know. He just made something up. Dutch. He just said Dutch. Just to, whatever. Go back to sleep. But I took him seriously, and I went to the library with my parents, the next day or whatever. And I got a book with a audio cassette tape kind of thing on Dutch. And I started studying Dutch because I believe that's the language my Sims spoke, and I wanted to understand my Sims. But then a week or two, I came back to my uncle and told him, that's not Dutch. I learned enough to know that that is not what the Sims were speaking. But that was my first real entrance into foreign language. And I was, probably 10 years old. And so that kind of taught me, oh, this is a thing that I can do on my own. And that started my journey down the rabbit hole of learning foreign languages on my own, which eventually led me to Spanish and Portuguese, and eventually me ending up here like 20 years later, 24 years later, or whatever now at this point. So yeah, links below this video, and I'll again try to interact with you guys in the chat before I close out here. If you want more free stuff, there's some free resources. If you go to simpleamericanaccent.com/training, which I believe is linked below the video, or /learn, there's different links that all kind of take you to the same place. So don't worry too much. The key is you can just get to some point inside the free version of the app that I'm building. There's a deeper version for my clients, but this shows some of the core stuff. You got some interesting resources and old podcasts and things that you can explore, as well as some of the key vowels and consonants and some pre-made phrases. You can send some of the common words to ChatGPT just to, show you, ChatGPT is great for making practice phrases and stuff. So you can just literally click this and it'll pre-fill a prompt in ChatGPT for you to give you a sense of what is possible, get you moving in the right direction. There's some Instagram reels that I made that are relevant to each one. Yeah, Simlish or Simish or whatever it's called. Is it Simlish or Simish? I don't remember. Maybe it's Simlish. There's some accent exercises. It takes a sec to load, but then this is a hour-long video I made a while back just explaining some of the how-to. So like these are some of the what, the vowels and the consonants, the building blocks, and then how do you actually connect them together? How do you actually sound like a native in actual words and phrases in real life? These are some of the thoughts for how to actually train. So the how. And again, that's all free. If you guys want help, you can become a client. That's paid. It's fairly, reasonably high investment. That's not for everyone, especially if you're in Brazil and stuff. But if you can afford it, I would love to help you. And that would be, but that's why I try to help people for free as much as I can, because it's just a small number of people who, I only work with a max of like 10 people at a time anyway. What is it? I think it's offer. Anyways, it's below the video. You can do /offer/coaching. You can see the offer that I do for my one-on-one American accent coaching clients. Just a quick page that explains it. You got the pricing and all the, you can read through it. And then there's a quick application. It's just multiple choice. You don't even have to like type a bunch of stuff in. You just answer some quick questions, takes a couple minutes. And then if it's a good fit, it's super simple. You can you get a payment link at the end. And if it's not a good fit, it'll send you my free stuff basically again and say like, not quite a good fit, but maybe we'll be soon, good luck, that kind of stuff. And if you have questions, you'll get my WhatsApp as well, so you can ask me questions about the program. But yeah, I would love to help you for free or as a client. Either way, it's all good to me. I'm rooting for you regardless and trying to make my free stuff better and better over time too. Any questions before we go? Any thoughts? We can wrap up here, but this is a good live. I enjoyed it. We got through 14 audios. That's a record. These free lives are priceless. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. And let me try to answer your question here. I know you've written it a couple times, so let me see. I want to get the paid version, but unfortunately for now I can't, but I hope to get it soon. Oh, no worries. One other thing that I don't always post is obviously because I want the path to start with the main offer. But if you apply for the main offer and you can't afford it yet, it'll show you a slightly cheaper offer. That is like just the first step of the main offer. So this is the first thing I do with a new client, but you can buy it by itself. So instead of $1,000 per month, you just pay a one-time payment of $297. So $300. Again, I realize depends on your financial situation. But if that's something you can afford, then I'm trying to make it a lower risk thing for you to take that first step. And if you later then do join the one-on-one coaching, we credit that amount towards it. So then you just pay the remaining, $1,000 per month. So if you already paid $297, we credit that. You just pay the remaining $703, and you continue with your first month of coaching. And if for any reason you didn't like it, there's a satisfaction guarantee. You just let me know within, a day of doing the call for any reason you didn't feel like it was worth it. So you can check that out too. It's /start. simpleamericanaccent.com/start. Cool. Anything else before we go, folks? Anything else on anyone's mind? Oh, I forgot to share my screen. I was showing, I keep forgetting to switch that. That's my bad. So yeah, I have /offer for the main offer. I don't remember when I stopped showing my screen. You have slash training for the free stuff. I was clicking around here earlier. Maybe I didn't show it. That's my bad. There's free stuff in here. And then there's slash start. If you're not quite ready for the ongoing coaching, you can start with just the one-time accent analysis plus one-on-one call, which has a credit to move forward and a satisfaction guarantee. Okay, now let me check back in the comments. And again, zero pressure. Free is plenty, but paid is available if it makes sense and you want extra help. Happy to help. Okay, so let's see. That's awesome. It'll be very useful. Thank you. You're welcome. So, okay, Asiel, you said, my main issue, I think, is listening. Hearing you is like slow explaining and then like a bunch of random sounds. Some parts I need to watch again later with YouTube subtitles on. Yeah. I think that's normal. Depends on which part you're talking about too, because it's like part of it is the sounds themselves, learning to hear contrasts, distinctions in sounds, like men versus man, bad versus bed, look versus Luke. That's one skill. And then another skill that's related, but I think also a little bit distinct, is being able to beyond just the sounds, just be able to understand running speech at native speeds, like including all the crazy variety of possible word combinations and things that happen. Oh, and I know you're not complaining, no worries. I'm just thinking if I have any comments for you. But I think a useful phrase that I like, which is not completely true, but it's still useful, is this old phrase, you don't learn a foreign language, you just get used to it. And so I think that's part of what might be going on for you, is just like everyone who learns a new language, as babies, as adults, whatever, I think a huge part of it is getting used to it. It's not everything, again, this is partially a lie. It's not an absolute, complete truth, but it's still a useful idea. And so oftentimes I think a key issue for us, oh, the screen, thank you. Man, I forget that so much. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that better. Yeah, you don't learn a foreign language, you just get used to it. That's the key idea. A useful lie. It's a useful idea. So when you're listening to English or whatever, and some of it you understand, and then some of it just suddenly it's like o cérebro bugou e não entendeu. Foi só uma mistura de sons aleatórios e não entendeu. I think that's often just a sign that you weren't quite familiar enough with whatever was said in that stretch. And so how do you resolve that? I think part of it is just more flight hours. Mais horas de voo, mais horas pilotando o avião, mais horas no céu, tipo, fazendo a coisa real. Pegando a experiência, pegando a familiaridade, escutando, falando, tudo, fazendo a coisa real. Com inglês falado, não só escrito, mas falado. And I think there are also things you can do to push the limits, maybe accelerate things a bit, but I think part of it is just accumulating thousands and thousands of hours. And eventually you've just heard things so many times, a million times, that things are new less often. You've just heard that phrase, you've heard that expression, you've heard that word so many different times in so many different, subtly different contexts, that you become really deeply familiar with those nuances and patterns. And then the frequency that you hear something new that is like, what was that? Is a lot less often, and it takes less effort to recognize things because you just heard it so many times. You don't have to analyze it, like think of some rule. It just is part of you at some point. So I think this is a core idea, like, and there's not an immediate, magical shortcut. Some of it really is just like keep swimming in the spoken language, listening to tens, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of hours of the spoken language. It's a lifelong journey where you go deeper and deeper. But then if you do want to accelerate it, a useful exercise that I sometimes recommend, sometimes dude sounds like a cattle auctioneer, but it's just a guy from another country. Totally. That happens in all languages. So yeah, part of it's familiarity, and part of it is learning to understand how people speak quickly. So there's multiple things that happen. So I've used this video as an example of fast speech is different than what you expect, even in your own native language.
o aniversário da minha esposa. 50% de desconto, certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour, ou seja, toda bebida tem 50% de desconto até as 20, tá certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour, ou seja, toda bebida tem 50% de desconto até as
50% de desconto. Só que não é bem isso que ele falou. Ele cortou, mudou alguns sons.
20 horas, tá certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour, ou seja, toda bebida tem 50% de...
Não falou por cent. Falou percent, or something like that.
Toda bebida tem 50% de...
Percent de...
Tem 50% de desconto.
E não falou de desconto, falou desconto, percent desconto, or something like that.
Bebida tem 50% de desconto até as 20 horas, tá certo? Hoje, tá certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour. Gente, eu sou o Diego, eu que vou estar atendendo vocês hoje, tá certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour, ou seja, toda bebida tem 50% de desconto até as 20, tá certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour, ou seja, toda bebida tem 50% de desconto até as 20.
Toda bebida tem 50% de desconto. 50% de desconto. Something like that. So it's like, if you read in the dictionary the pronunciation of 50% de desconto, you're going to see a pronunciation that is different from the pronunciation that he actually said in that real sentence. He deleted things, he adjusted things. And so that happens in Portuguese and it happens in English. And I think sometimes that's part of why we don't understand also. O porquê do nosso cérebro bugar, às vezes, que realmente os sons são diferentes dos sons esperados, imaginados. A expectativa e a realidade, às vezes, são bem diferentes. And then the exercise I was going to recommend also is just take any video in English for you guys and Portuguese for me and write your own subtitles. So like Porta dos Fundos is great because they actually have human written subtitles, not just AI. AI is still okay, but and even human written subtitles are going to be wrong sometimes. But like the idea is turn the subtitles off.
Toda bebida tem 50% de desconto até as 20 horas.
And then write your own subtitles. Toda bebida tem, 50 or 50 or whatever you want. Just por, I don't remember if it's porcento or percent, whatever. We'll do this. Desconto. And then, yeah, you write it and then you go and you check it.
Tá certo? A gente está na Billabong Hour, ou seja, toda bebida tem 50% de desconto até as 20 horas, tá certo?
And you just do that over and over. You don't have to do it all the time because it takes a lot of effort, but do this sometimes and you will challenge your understanding of English. Se você fizer assim... Ah, sim, 50. Eu escrevi errado. Acho que por conta do espanhol. 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 Enfim. Yeah, essa é a ideia. E eu vou errar, você vai errar. E esse é o ponto. Que fazendo esse exercício, você vai se forçar a ver os erros que você normalmente não repara, que passam despercebidos. E geralmente vai ter alguns trechos que você realmente não entendeu, aí você só bota um desses, ou o que for. Ou você tenta decifrar, tipo, se eu não tivesse entendido, talvez eu teria escrito algo assim, tipo 50, sei lá, por 100 de desconto, sabe, por 100 de desconto. Não sei, mas às vezes você pode tentar escrever pelos sons, mesmo não sabendo o que é na real, as palavras reais. Sei lá, sabe? Esse é o ponto. É um exercício interessante para fazer. So yeah. Alright, I think that's it for me for today. Great to have you all on here. I'm going to explode. What do you mean? Oh yeah, let me check in on these comments before I go. I'm curious what you guys said. Poxa, icônico aqui, às vezes nem a gente entende. Tata Werneck também. Eu vi um Reels que era o... Como que chama ele? O cara do Freddie Mercury prateado. Eu sei o nome dele, mas não tô lembrando. Ele e a Tata Werneck fizeram uma aula de dicção, uma palestra sobre dicção boa, alguma coisa assim. Sendo irônico, né? Mas achei engraçado. A gente ri, às vezes, pelo gesto e prosódio, com certeza. I'm going to explode. Siga você entender o contexto desse comentário, mas achei engraçado. E olha que ele tá falando correto pro vídeo, o português de rua, às vezes é pior ainda. Pra mim não é questão de ser pior, não é questão de qualidade, é questão de... é a realidade das pessoas reais. Às vezes é de rua, mas às vezes é até as pessoas educadas, só em certos momentos, contextos, depende do momento, depende do contexto. Quase todo mundo vai falar diferente se tá flertando com alguém lindo quando tá solteiro, comparado com quando tá falando com a avó. Todo mundo tem jeitos diferentes de falar. Na escola, tudo vai variando. Que mais? 50, but it's an interesting activity. Espanhol, com o Alberto, obrigado. It was awesome, I appreciate it. Que bom que você gostou. Eduardo Sterblich, não sei falar o nome dele exatamente. Sterblich, mas é isso. É um dos casos que eu li esse nome, mas não estudei a pronúncia em si, ouvindo e repetindo. Aí que tá. Pior, mais intenso, nem sempre é ruim. Entendi, sim. Pior pode significar coisa diferente, conotação, significado diferente, enfim. Tá sem som no Instagram, mestre? Sim, eu sei, eu só deixei. That's okay. O povo pode depois ver no YouTube. Pior nem sempre quer dizer algo ruim. Entendi agora. Inglês é simples e direto, mais complicado. O inglês científico bem mais. Eu amei a live e já quero a próxima. Boa. Toda quarta, às 4 Central da tarde. Fuso de Chicago. Acho que no Brasil é às 6 horas, fuso de Brasília. 6 horas da tarde, 18, né? Thanks a lot, man. Tamo junto. Conte comigo. Até a próxima quarta. What else? Inglês é simples e direto, mais complicado. Achei interessante, sempre acho interessante essas comparações de idiomas. Nem sempre concordo. Às vezes sim, às vezes não. Tipo, em termos da gramática, da pronúncia, algumas coisas são mais difíceis, mais fáceis, mais complicados, mais previsíveis. É difícil. Do you live in Brazil? Ainda nem visitei o Brasil, gente. O português que eu sei é aprendendo fora do Brasil. Minha esposa é brasileira, mas a gente só se conhece há uns 2, 3 anos. Eu deveria saber exatamente, mas é algo assim. E falo português já faz uns quase 20 anos. Então, português é uma parte enorme da minha vida. Apesar de não ter visitado ainda, mas acho que vou resolver esse erro ainda esse ano. Acho que para talvez Natal levar para Brasil, conhecer a família da minha esposa pessoalmente, vamos ver. Inglês de Shakespeare é difícil, o medieval pior ainda. Entendi. Usando a palavra pior, né? É bem diferente. Quanto mais a gente for no passado, pro passado, mais diferentes são todos os idiomas. Todo idioma vai evoluindo com o tempo. Vem pro Rio Grande do Sul, tá frio, mas nem tanto quanto seria aí. 20 anos, Shameless se passa em Chicago. Shameless. O que é Shameless? Não lembro. Shameless. Uma série? Nunca assisti. Ah, sim. It's about a Chicago family. Interessante. Chicago é legal. Tem várias séries que são ou de verdade ou no mundo fictício aqui em Chicago. Ok, gente. Vou embora. Tô cansado. Uma live de quase 3 horas, mas foi uma boa. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. E tamo junto. Boa noite. Até mais.